Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Adrian Wojnarowski had a Woj bomb. He's saying that you can now invite guests into the bubble.
Hello.
Oh, thank God.
Any individual the player has not previously met in person or with whom the player has had limited in-person interactions.
What? You're joking.
This is what it says. For example, known by the player only through social media or an intermediary.
Speaking of getting boned.
And the Emmy goes to...
We're talking to Rick Neuheisel, CBS Sports college football analyst.
MLB Tonight.
And again, congratulations on that Emmy, man.
No, we lost.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we kind of performed the way you did when you were at Colorado and UCLA.
Go ahead and rub it in.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Made it to a Thursday. Hour one, Dan and the Danettes. Dan Patrick Show. We'll check in with Reggie Miller. Reg will join us from the bubble as we get ready for the final game before we head into the postseason. Chip Kelly, UCLA head football coach. What's he think of spring football? Kyle Brandt, one of the co-hosts, Good Morning Football, had a really revealing podcast with Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk to Kyle about that coming up. You can get involved in the program a variety of ways. You can dial us up, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle @DP-SHOW. Say good morning to our radio and TV partners, those watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, and 362 radio affiliates around the world. Sometimes what's going on in the NBA bubble feels like a completely different season than the one we had before the pandemic. And we've seen some unexpected stars. Who would have thought T.J. Warren would be the Michael Jordan of the bubble? Michael Porter Jr. Last time you heard of him was probably when he got injured at Missouri. Now, you do have some stars who have even elevated their games. Damian Lillard certainly has. Devin Booker is known in the inner circles as a great player. You know, serious basketball fans know him, but he's played well enough to take the next step. We know about Luka Doncic. He's been dominant. As LeBron gets older, I keep bringing this up. Who is going to be that face? And it's probably not going to be singular. It's going to be plural. They're going to be faces of the NBA. We know about Harden, the Greek freak, KD, Curry. There's not going to be another Jordan. There's not going to be another LeBron. You know, maybe it's Luka, maybe it's Zion, maybe it's somebody who's not even in the NBA right now. But there have been some interesting storylines from the bubble, and we'll talk to Reg about those coming up. Here is a story that is sort of simmering, and it has to do with Nebraska football. We've brought this up that Nebraska, they're not in open defiance of the Big Ten, but it certainly feels like they're flirting with that they want to play football, that you have the governor, you have the school chancellor, the athletic director, the coach. Everybody's all in on Nebraska wanting to play football and thinks they could do it safely with fans in the stands. This is what I was told earlier this morning by a source. The Big Ten, quote, postponed the season and didn't cancel. And that is something to keep in mind. Apparently, there is a difference, according to my source. If Nebraska were to leave the Big Ten could sue. Their only option is to try and go back to the Big 12, but they left the Big 12 because they hate Texas so much. Once again, they didn't cancel the season. They postponed the season right now. And from what my source told me, maybe Nebraska's not going to have enough schools to play. Now, maybe they could play BYU, maybe Conference USA, American Athletic Conference opponents, maybe New Mexico State. Maybe if there's some openings with the SEC, ACC, and Big 12, Nebraska could fill in some of those spots there. Because I don't know if every school is going to take on the liability that we're seeing with the SEC, ACC, and the Big 12. I don't know if all those schools are going to be playing football. Big 12 says we're going to go. We're going to try. You know, we have clarity here on what we're trying to do. We don't have certainty, but we have clarity here. But I don't know what we're going to have with the other schools in these conferences, because you might have a president, chancellor, who is going to say, on second thought, we're not able to pull this off. But as it is right now, college football is going to be played somewhere, somehow. And the NFL starts a month from tonight. And you look at the first test that came out, under 1% with the NFL. I don't worry about preseason. I don't worry about the first couple of weeks. But boy, do I worry about once these guys feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe we could step out of the bubble. Keep this in mind. You talk about college kids and you put them on campus and you say, well, it's hard to keep track of them, but, we're going to try to do this. The Cleveland Indians had 2 pitchers, professionals, who went rogue, went out on the town in Chicago. And one was around the entire team when he got back. They're getting paid to behave and couldn't do it. That would make me nervous. That would make me nervous with the NFL. You have to police yourself. And these 2 pitchers, Plesac and Clevenger, couldn't do it. And then you run the risk of being with your teammates. Don't tell your teammates. You could have shut down your entire season, or at least hit the pause button there. But what's going on at Nebraska, what's going to go on at some other schools, we keep hearing whispers about Ohio State. Can they make this happen? I don't think Ohio State would do this in defiance of the Big Ten. Can't see that happening. I know they want to play. All the coaches, I'd be shocked if a coach goes, you know what? I don't want to play. You know what? I talked to my players. They don't want to play. Everybody wants to play. And I understand why you would want to play. And the NFL has to feel pretty good because they'll start on time. And as I've said on numerous occasions, I don't know if they finish on time. They're going to start on time. A month from tonight, the NFL starts. Meanwhile, college football, I don't know what the schedules are going to be. College football used to start late August. Now it's going to be at the tail end of September. They may start on time. I don't know if they're going to finish. And even if they do, are we going to have a national championship? I have no problem if the ACC and SEC play a championship game against one another and say, hey, you're going to be the national champ, whoever wins. They normally play against each other, so all right, Ohio State's not in there. But other than that, should be pretty good. You might not get too many arguments here. So that's just some of the news here with what's going on with college football and the fact that the NFL starts a month from tonight. I can't wrap my head around that. I watched Hard Knocks, and Hard Knocks was basically about the medical side of this. It wasn't much football there with Hard Knocks, with both the Chargers and the Rams. Then you find out Anthony Lynn, the Chargers head coach, he had COVID, and just how they're trying to pull off these practices. So you had a couple of moments where you're just watching. Nobody's throwing the football to anybody else because you don't want to have somebody's hands on it, then somebody else's hands on it, and you're not throwing the football. You're not really having a practice. And I just don't know how these teams are going to be ready in a month. 4 weeks from tonight, first game.
Let's go.
Crazy. All right, let's go around. You got a poll question there, McLevin?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, do you guys consider the college football season legit in the sense of, Dabo Sweeney, will the championship be legit this year?
Well, it's not going to be legit, but it's as close as we're going to get. Is baseball going to be legit? No. NBA, that'll be legit. Yeah, I mean, once again, I said I wasn't going to be nitpicking here. If they play football, great. You want to have ACC and SEC, and maybe if the Big 12 is still playing and they want to have 4 teams, 2 games, I'm fine with that. Ohio State not being in there, does it legitimize it? No, but if that's the best we have this year, fine. Yeah, McLevin.
I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you're a voter, but should there be a Heisman this year?
That's a little bit different. But
Tricky.
Yeah, it is. I think that there will be. Has there ever been a year where we didn't have a Heisman Trophy winner? I know that we've had winners who lost their award, lost their trophy, But we did have a Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah, Paul.
The 1943 college football season had a lot of teams tap out. I would say maybe 50% of the teams tapped out for different reasons around World War II. There was a 1943 Heisman Trophy winner, Angelo Bertelli of Notre Dame. So they did keep the award, even though a good percentage of teams did not play the college football season in 1943.
Well, it probably helped that Notre Dame played that year. So that hurt me. If Army, Navy, Notre Dame played, then you could probably get a Heisman Trophy winner out of that. Yes, Todd?
If you're going to have NBA bubble MVP awards, you're going to give out a Heisman Trophy, I would hope.
You know, the fact that we have bubble awards, why do we need bubble awards for 8 games? Because they're handing out bubble awards. Like, this feels like participation trophies here. You got in the bubble, so we got to hand out awards. If you want to get, is TJ Warren the MVP of the bubble? Yeah, McLevin.
I thought so, but I got the updated stats. A lot of guys are making a run at TJ Warren. He's fallen down a little bit. He's not the leading scorer anymore.
Is he more valuable than Damian Lillard?
No, Lillard is by far the leading scorer.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Damian's run away with it, I think.
What he's doing, I mean, Damian Lillard, if you want to give out, okay. I'm not gonna complain. You want to hand out bubble awards? Go ahead, hand out bubble awards.
Didn't you say in November that you thought Damian Lillard and T.J. Warren would battle for league MVP?
I thought it was going to come down to those two. I thought it was. Yes, McLevin.
You know, you look at these scores at the bubble. You forget Luka and Harden are both still scoring 35 points a game. Are they any less valuable than Lillard?
Well, I think Luka has had some pretty impressive performances. I don't think James Harden has had those kind of performances. The Greek Freak is going to be the MVP, the regular season MVP. That's a foregone conclusion. I think the only thing is he going to be Defensive Player of the Year as well? And how much does he run away with this award? Because I'm hearing that he's going to win it and win it comfortably over LeBron. And rightfully so. I understand it, you know. And I started to look at the Lakers situation. I want to bring this up to Reggie. If you look at the Lakers and they face Portland, then they have the Rockets, then the Clippers. Now, this is assuming they win, and these are the possible matchups for them. So they have Portland, who's playing as well as anybody, with certainly Damian Lillard playing as better than anybody. Then you have the Rockets. They're a matchup nightmare. Then the Clippers, and you don't have home court advantage. And then let's say you would face the Bucks in the NBA Finals. That's as tough a road as you're going to find. So that's why there is no asterisk. This will be even more challenging. If LeBron and the Lakers win, this will be as impressive as any postseason run we've ever seen of level of competition you're going through. But you start to look at these numbers with the Lakers. Not a good shooting team, at least in the bubble. And it's not just three-point shooting, it's just regular field goal percentage. I think there's only one team shooting worse than the Lakers in the bubble right now. Kyle Kuzma better step up. Danny Green somebody better step up here because they're going to need just a little bit of help here. By the way, this program is brought to you by the great folks at LegalZoom. Need to make it legal? Make it LegalZoom.com. You can start online, and their network of independent attorneys can provide advice when you need it the most. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. So what is the poll question we're going to go with, McLovin?
I know you don't want it. Let's put up who's the bubble MVP. Come on, get the debate started. If we fuel this thing, it could become a thing. By the way, Luka only shooting 29% from three in the bubble compared to TJ Warren 53%. Luka is not deadly accurate from three yet.
Yeah, but I think he takes some really tough shots, contested shots there. I think as he gets older, he's going to be smarter in, his shot selection there. But it feels like they have to rely on him to get shots up. And I think because of that, he does take some forced shots, contested shots.
Bubble burst. When you make fun of someone in the NBA bubble.
Even bursting their bubble.
I just had a source who just sent me a text. A date to watch for in the NFL is August 17th. That's when players are allowed to wear pads and have contact for the first time. So August 17th is a date to keep an eye out on. All right, we'll take a break here. Reggie Miller is set to join us via Zoom from the bubble. We'll come up with a poll question. Phone calls are always welcome. And I have what might be the worst attempt at pronouncing an NBA player's name. Maybe the worst attempt in the history of the NBA in trying to pronounce a name. It's not even close. Not even close. I'll have that for you when we come back. It's 15 after the hour, just getting started on this Thursday. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. I love these wireless earbuds. Here's the problem. My daughter leaves for school tomorrow. I asked, where are the earbuds? And then she gave me the, what earbuds? And I said, the ones that I had here that were on the table. I don't know. So I said to my wife, I don't want to be going through her luggage to see if she has my wireless earbuds. I said, so would you? So my wife goes, what do I do if I find them? I said, just leave them in there. I can always get another pair, but I get it, My kids will deceive me just to get these everyday E25 earbuds. The best ones yet, 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more compact design, gives you that nice noise-isolating fit. So if you want to conference call, you want to binge a podcast, video chats, you're going to love the Raycon earbuds. They're stylish, discreet, no dangling wires or stems. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick for 15% off. You have my word. I'm going to get to a game, guaranteed. But just understand this. You were sort of the head coach with Charlotte. Now you're the head coach at Georgetown. That means that I can praise you, but I also going to have to rip you, too.
Well, you know what, Dan? I'm used to being ripped. Hey, look, after 15 years in New York, if you don't have thick skin.
How were you in dealing with that? Like, for the first time you got, because Georgetown shielded you guys from the media. Big John did. But you get to New York, here's the media capital. What was that like, that first wave of criticisms?
Well, you always got criticized. I got criticized from high school, college. He may have tried to shield us from the media our freshman year, or at least the first part of our freshman year. But we got, you got criticized for not talking. You got criticized for your Hoya paranoia. You got criticized calling us thugs. But you know what? It's us against the world. I didn't worry about the criticism. Even when I was in New York, I didn't worry about the criticism. All I cared about is, one, get my job done, which is to try to be the best basketball player I could be. And now as a coach, I can't worry about the criticism. All I can worry about is, one, get myself a staff together to go out and recruit and find me great athletes that's going to come in and help us win. And if we're winning, the criticism can always come because I'm going to be laughing.
We have an update on the Bo Jackson. Remember last time you told us the Bo Jackson story where he planted you and you came up?
Yeah, he did.
And you said you could beat him in a race.
No, I didn't.
You said in your prime you could take Bo.
In my prime, I could take Usain Bolt.
Right.
I was about to say Bolt. Right. I ain't say Bo. Not Bo, I mean Bolt.
Dan, you interviewed Bo Jackson down at Auburn for that tour. Yeah. And Bo said, I could beat Deion in a race, and I got 40 pounds on him. He was talking about his prime.
I don't know. I don't think I said that about Bo because I would never compare us in a race. So I don't know if I actually said that. But no, in my prime, I wasn't losing no. First of all, 35 and over, I'll get right now.
There's nobody
right
35.
Now. You know what? My son is right there. I get up and run every day, and we're looking for people to race downtown. Like I just went, and you can look on my Instagram. I just went asking people to race. So, excuse me, sir, you want to race? Because I'm competitive, and I've been looking for people downtown just to race. If they win, I'm going to give them $1,021. If they don't, I'm just going to walk off. I'm just going to walk off and vanish.
Are you the fastest 35-year-old or older in the world?
Not to be a trike guy, yes. I'm not talking about trike guys that run tracks and they qualify to the Olympics. I'm talking about a regular man. I'm a regular man. I'm the fastest regular man that's 35 and over.
Wait, what is...
And bald.
Oh,
you got to throw that in there. You got to throw that in there, too, now. Not for long, though, because I'm going to get this taken care of in a couple weeks. I'm bringing my hair back.
Really?
Like Urlacher style.
Like Jerry
No, Urlacher.
Oh, you're going to go Urlacher?
Yeah.
You're going to get some moss up top?
Yep. It's my hair, but they're going to sprinkle it.
This is breaking news here.
It is.
Oh, my God. ESPN is going to... See if ESPN is going to confirm this, though.
Yeah.
Schefter just called.
NFL Network will confirm it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hair. Yeah, but why?
I'm going because I want to look like my son. You see how handsome my son is, man? I want to look like my son.
Next Great Podcast. Go to nextgreatpodcast.com. Get the details. Submit your pitch. Got an idea for a podcast? We're going to select up to 10 semifinalists, give each one of them $1,000 to produce a pilot episode. Then listeners from around the country will vote on their favorite Next Great Podcast, and I will go into business with you that first year. Nextgreatpodcast.com. And I hope to work with you. Before we get to Reggie Miller, I got to play this. This might be the worst attempt at pronouncing the Greek Freak's name. I don't know if anybody comes close. This is from 7 News in Australia.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Let's try it again. Let me hear it one more time.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Hey, I have to admit, first time I tried to pronounce it, I didn't do too well. But that was a couple of years ago. Not now. Let's bring in Reggie Miller, who joins us from the bubble. How long did it take you to pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I still have it down. Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's Bo, not Po. People don't understand that it's Bo, not Po.
Thank you, Reg. Reg will be on the call. Mavs Suns at 4 Eastern, Blazers Nets at 9 Eastern on TNT. So double duty here. Should we have bubble awards?
I think it's fun. I mean, we're in unique times. This is a different situation. And certainly, I think just to highlight, again, some teams and some players have played a little bit harder than others. Some are still getting going, but it's fun. It's catchy.
Okay.
Why not?
Where would you showcase your bubble award? If I came into your house and you had won a bubble award, Reg.
I would say, oh, come here. I would have opened up my bottom sock drawer,
okay,
pulled it out, and like, hey, I was MVP of the bubble, back in 2020.
I think we should just call it POTB, Player of the Bubble. Is it, well, who's your pick? Damian Lillard, TJ Warren for a little while there was the Jordan of the bubble. So who is the MVP?
Are you going with bubble MVP right now?
Yeah.
I probably would go. Damian Lillard has been fantastic, incredible numbers, what he's doing to push them probably to that ace spot. I have to go with Devin Booker. I mean, look, as great as 7-0 for the Phoenix Suns, no one expected them to be on this run and in contention to possibly. They still can get that ace spot, but I still think they can get that nice spot and have those playing games. I think it's you can't go wrong between Lillard and Booker. I give this very slight edge to Devin Booker just because right now they are the only undefeated team in the bubble, and they have a shot of actually, playing for those play-in games in the Western Conference.
And then we have Suns and Blazers on Saturday?
If
Okay.
it is those two. Memphis is still in play, and San Antonio Spurs are still in play. So it's going to come down to tonight's games. 3 of those teams are on our network. San Antonio, obviously Phoenix, we mentioned, and Portland. Portland plays Brooklyn in the nightcap.
The Greek Freak gets suspended for 1 game for headbutting Mo Wagner. What did you make of that?
Well, it's convenient that he gets 1 game. He wasn't going to play tonight's game anyway.
I know. Okay, if the playoffs started tomorrow, is the Greek Freak suspended for that first game?
Yeah, I still think he would have been suspended.
Okay.
Yeah, he still did.
Okay.
I just thought maybe they were going to give him 2 games, and then he would have missed game 1 of the first round. But it's a 1-game suspension. I get it. I've been there. I've been headbutted before, so I understand it.
Wait, but didn't you headbutt?
No, I was headbutted by John Starks.
Oh.
I was headbutted by John Starks.
And
I reacted the same way Wagner did. You act like you're been shot out of the canyon. You act, oh my God, what has happened to me? Lordy. Oh, but yeah, it wasn't that hard of it. And actually, more of his fro got Wagner than anything else.
But I thought, okay. So Starks is the one who hit you. Okay.
He headbutted me.
Okay.
And got thrown out.
Okay.
Yes.
You should have been a theater major at UCLA. The way you played?
You got to look at me. I'm not the biggest of guys. You've got to be able to use a little bit of everything. So I wouldn't necessarily, as you say, it wasn't flopping, Theodore. I was acting.
I know.
Acting.
But it helped you. But how frustrated did players get because you were flailing a little bit or acting a little bit and getting calls?
Very frustrated. And I think that's where the trash talking kind of came in, because once I would get the call and they're over there griping to the official, and then they would come to me like, man up. And then I would kind of whisper things back to them. And that's how a lot of these little in-game rivalries kind of evolve, is during those type of interactions or dramatic acting, as I call them.
Did Jordan get suspended for trying to gouge your eyes out?
No. Oh, yes, he did.
Oh, okay.
I was suspended 1 game. You're talking about the big fight we had. I was suspended 1 game.
I don't know if that was a big fight.
That wasn't a big fight. Yeah, you're right.
It could have.
That was an undercard. That wasn't a fight.
It could have escalated.
No, I got suspended a game. He got suspended, I believe, 3 games for that.
Okay.
But if you remember, I got thrown out of that game. He got to continue that game in Market Square in Indiana.
Wow.
That's the power of Jordan.
Yeah. We're talking to Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer. He's got 2 games today. Mavs Suns at 4 Eastern and Blazers Nets at 9 Eastern on TNT. I'm just looking at the numbers here. I try not to be somebody who overreacts, but I'm just looking at the raw numbers with the Lakers. Not a good field goal percentage from 2-point range, certainly 3-point range here. And you could be walking right into the Portland Trail Blazers or Phoenix Suns here. How much concern do you have with the Lakers now that we're winding down the regular season and the postseason starts next week?
I will say this. If Kyle Kuzma can play like he played against the Denver Nuggets when he hit the game winner, and he is that third outlet, he is that third presence on the floor, I wouldn't be so worried. But again, the game of basketball, it's not a light switch. You can't turn it on and turn it off. I like to see consistency. I like to see a team having a rhythm and playing well as they're building up, as they're ramping up, getting ready for the playoffs. We have not seen that from the Lakers. Is it concerning? Yes. But at the end of the day, you still have LeBron and you still have Anthony Davis, who, by the way, has struggled as well in this bubble restart. So I would love to see a little bit more consistency in terms of, as you mentioned, the numbers of shooting. But if they come out, and if it's against Portland, if it's against Phoenix or whomever, Memphis, San Antonio in the first round, and they go 4-1, this will be a moot point. But if they struggle, remember, these teams that they potentially could be playing, every game has been a playoff game for them. So they're already playing at playoff level. It's not a light switch. If the shooting's not there, it could be a very long series for the Lakers.
Yeah, that's what I wondered about. Let's say Portland gets in and every game has been a playoff game for them. At some point, you may run out of that energy that you have. Or, can you go on a run because you've been playing at playoff level basketball there? That would be my big curiosity with no matter who the Lakers face, those teams are coming in, scratching and clawing.
Yeah, you're wondering if they're going to run out of gas.
Yeah.
But I think for Portland, I think they've been campaigning, especially Damian Lillard. If you remember before this bubble restart, when they were questioning who were they going to bring and were they going to have a shot at making the playoffs, Dame says, look, if we don't have a shot of making the playoffs, I'm just going to sit on the sideline and cheer my teammates on. I think that's why they formatted what we're seeing right now. And the way he is playing, I don't see any letdown on his end. The thing that kind of concerns me, though, with the Portland Trailblazers is the health report and the injury to C.J. McCollum. I know he's having a back issue right now, and he's that other guy that puts so much pressure offensively on you. If he's not 100% healthy, I still believe Portland could upset the Lakers, but it diminishes their chances if he's not at 100%.
Give me the other team that you would say keep an eye on, certainly if it's in the West or the East.
Look, there's going to be some unbelievable first-round matchups. We have rivalry matchups. We've got Boston versus Philadelphia, Al Horford versus his old team. We've got Jimmy Butler versus T.J. Warren, Miami versus Indiana. How about CP3 getting a chance to go against James Harden and Russell Westbrook, Russ going against OKC's. Lot of history in these first-round matchups, something that's going to be exciting to see. I mean, if there's a team that possibly could rise up, again, I'm putting my chips with Portland because Damian Lillard is playing on a different planet right now. And if guys continue to taunt him in the bubble, I'm just telling you guys, he is not the one to do this with. A guy that has the ball 90% of the time with unlimited range and a purple light, you do not trash talk guys like that can put 50 on you anytime they step on the floor.
And he goes back to back, though, over 50. That doesn't happen very often in NBA history. And these are all big games. I'm also curious, we saw what happened with the Greek Freak. We've seen some trash talking there. We've, followed what Damian Lillard has been saying back and forth. The Clippers with what they were doing with Damian Lillard. Are players starting to go a little stir crazy there in the bubble, Reg?
I think so. And I think it came out yesterday that, oh my goodness, we're going to be able to bring some family and friends in here pretty soon because I think they've been in isolation. It's been them and 15 of their teammates in coaching staff and management. I think so. I think they're going a little stir crazy. And I think that's why they've kind of let up on their restrictions a little bit, being able to allowing, family members and close friends, if you can prove that they're a close friend. I think they're going to open up their restrictions, and I think that will kind of lessen the tension a little bit. But again, we're getting ready for playoffs, and usually come playoff times, that's when guys are probably at their moodiest. So I don't know. I think that maybe they're going a little stir crazy, but it's fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
Do you think the NBA adopts this play-in scenario as we move forward when we leave the bubble?
I think if there is no vaccine in the near future, I think we could have multiple bubbles next year. I think we can have an East Coast bubble and a West Coast bubble.
No, the play-in, what we're seeing
I like
in the West.
That.
Okay.
I like it. The only disadvantage I think it's for the number one seed because you don't know you can't prepare and you don't know who you're going to play for. But if you're the number one seed, do you really care who the eighth spot? You shouldn't be worrying about the eighth spot if you're the number one seed. I think that's the only disadvantage. But it gives a little bit of a feel towards like the March Madness. You got to play yourself in. It gives teams an actual shot of competing.
If I look at, people want to look at this, whoever wins, is there an asterisk attached to it? And I said, yeah, there might be because of the degree of difficulty is harder than probably any other year that we've had in NBA history. A bonus asterisk is what you get. The Lakers with no home court advantage. Let's say they would face Portland, Rockets, Clippers, and then let's say the Bucks. I don't know if you can find a team in NBA history that has gone through something like that and not had home court advantage. You throw that in there as well. That's why I have no problem saying anybody who wins a title, I'll give you 1.5 titles.
Whoever wins this championship will have won it. All the points that you just mentioned, you're going to be going through all the tough teams. And I cannot stress this enough, because being in these arenas and with no fans and these teams manufacturing their own energy, because there's been a tendency, and to me, the games have been fantastic. They've been close, they've been competitive, and I'll give all the guys credit because for the most part, they came back in shape, but they have had to find motivation in other ways. And if you can win this championship with everything that's factored in, you're right. It's an asterisk. It's an asterisk on the good side because you will have actually had to go out and win it.
Well, it's going to be fun. I don't want to have preferential treatment or say I'm rooting for somebody, but if you said the Suns and the Blazers were going to be playing against one another, I would be...
Or a play-in?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Devin Booker versus Damian Lillard. That alone, that's a headliner for that play-in game. Remember, whoever is 8 only has to win 1 game. The 9th place team has to win 2 games to get that 8th spot. So I love it. It would be fantastic. I'm not rooting for anyone as well, but right now my 2 bubble MVPs are Damian Lillard and Devin Booker. Let them settle it in a play-in game, and right now they've set themselves up for that to happen.
And I'm glad that we've been able to see some of these players that we wouldn't normally see. And Devin Booker is front and center because he's one of the great shooters in the NBA. You know, he's one of the top 5, form, his beautiful looking shot there. I don't know how good that team is. DeAndre Ayton, and I don't know. I don't know if that's a full team, but it is an exciting team to watch because of him. And the same with Portland. They have the ingredients to be a formidable team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to put it all together in time to do that. So it should be a lot of fun, and I'm glad, T.J. Warren, some of these other players you wouldn't normally see are playing, some good basketball, and we're getting an opportunity to witness that. It's great to talk to you. Have fun this afternoon and tonight.
I appreciate it, and I'm a little upset. I'm with you. I woke up grumpy the last couple of days. Yeah. We got robbed.
Yeah,
we got robbed. I consider myself the 5th Danette, and look, I give you a lot of credit. Your reaction was great, but trust me, if I would have been with you guys in front of that camera, I would be like, "This is bull. This is some bull. We were robbed. Where's our sports Emmy? You're lucky. You're lucky I wasn't with you guys."
That would pretty much guarantee we wouldn't have a shot at next year.
Maybe that's why they haven't given it to us.
Yes. But you know what? If we had won, you would have gotten a sports Emmy.
Well,
I would have made sure that you got a sports Emmy because you're family.
I'm always honored to be in your guys' presence. Again, I always tell people, they always ask, how's Theodore and how are the Danettes? I'm like, I am a 5th Danette. I'm an adopted child. I'm part of the family.
Thank you, Reg.
Appreciate it, guys. Love you.
That's Reggie Aloysius Miller, Jr. III. He's got a doubleheader today. We'll take a break. We'll get some phone calls. McLevin, did you come up with a poll question today?
Yeah, we said, should they award the Heisman for this season?
Ooh,
this fall season,
wow.
Not the spring season, by the way, just to clarify.
Wow, we're going to open it up, huh? We're going to get started.
Yep.
Manuel in Ohio joins us on the program. Manuel, welcome to the program.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good, sir. What's on your mind?
I wanted your opinion and thoughts. Ohio is, moving full ahead to play high school football, but yet we canceled all the collegiate, athletics in the fall. Don't you think that high school kids would be more vulnerable because they're not being tested and so on?
Yep. I'm trying to understand the logic of Iowa State can play, but Iowa can't play. So they're in the same state, but one school is planning on playing and the other one is not. Yes,
conferences, man.
Yeah, I know. It comes down to liability here. And the Big Ten and Pac-12 are not willing to roll the dice on this. We'll talk to Chip Kelly, UCLA head coach. He'll join us coming up at the top of the hour. Brad in Flavortown joining us on the program. Hi, Brad.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Brad.
My name's Carmela.
Okay.
I'm 4'2", 74 pounds.
All right. And what can I do for you today?
Sorry for your loss. And do you think college football will play this year?
Yes, I think they're gonna try to do this. And thank you for calling and expressing your sympathies for my loss. Thank you very much. Sorry for your loss. Ted in Tampa is back. Hey, Ted, how are you?
Hey, great, Dan. First of all, I mean, you already know it. That was crap Monday night with the Emmy Award. All those other shows that you all are against, they're taped. You know, they're taped. They can run it back and forth, read a thing 5 or 6 times. How many people have 60 to 70 people a day call in and are put on hold for maybe like 30 minutes to an hour just waiting to provide input to you and the Danettes? None of them.
All right.
So I think it just reflects a lot about the audience, the vote of who was allowed to vote for those Emmys, and the audience of the real ham and egg sports fans who are diehard fans of the Dan Patrick Show.
Thank you, Ted.
And number 2, Don Brady had his sports thing last week, his press conference, but the local sports heads sat in and and they always give him softball questions, so they wouldn't take call-in questions like the one that you gave me about did he have any influence with the Garoppolo trade.
Oh, so the Brady press conference, and then they didn't take phone calls from the listeners.
Yeah, the local radio heads always go to those and take them because they know, hey, I got to come here tomorrow. I got to come here after the next game. So we're not going to give Arians or Tom Brady any hard questions to deal with. You know, so don't let those guys call in because the call-in guys ask direct questions, hard questions. And then the last thing, Dan, I'll let you go. You probably know Kenny Payne, coached at University of Kentucky, assistant coach since 2010. Just got acquired by the Knicks.
Yeah, I just saw that. But thank you, Ted. Ted leading the charge. Take it to the streets, Ted. Let them know. Let them know. I don't know who votes on these sports Emmys. I never met somebody who said, hey, I voted on your category. And that's probably a good thing. And I have fun with this. I know people go, yesterday after the show, I heard from some people in the business, in the industry, and they said, boy, you really took that hard. I said, well, it was a show. I mean, I am an actor. We were having fun. Am I disappointed? Yeah. But I'm disappointed more for the Danettes. Because, you know, they haven't won one, and just to be able to share it with us, that would be great. But as I maintain to Seton, and he hates hearing it, it's bad for our brand if we win a sports Emmy. I don't want to be the favorite. I've never been the favorite. I don't want to start now.
It's not about being the favorite. It's about, because you are actually the favorite. It's about being the winner. That's actually the thing.
No, in my mind, yeah. I'm not the favorite. But
you won't be even if we won. You'd be like, that's all right. We're not doing it again this year.
Yeah, yeah, Paulie.
If you told me in 2015 the Cubs brand is going to change, I would have signed up for it.
Yeah, but nobody cares about the Cubs now.
I'm fine with that. I got my one.
That's okay.
You're okay if people don't care about us, that all of a sudden they're like, oh, let's move on.
But because the people that aren't going to care about us and will move on is going to be probably the sports Emmy people. I think that our audience will stay with us.
I don't know. We may sound different, act different.
Yeah.
Approach to the show is different. I don't want to be an elitist here. I want to be a man of the people. I'm just an everyday guy.
Ham and eggs.
That's me. Yeah. I'm ham, and you guys are my eggs. Let's take a break. Play of the day is coming up next. Your phone calls as well. Chip Kelly, top of the hour. Back after this.
Fellas, it's a big one. It's August is National Sandwich Month.
Oh, wow.
Respect. Not a day, a month.
Month.
Possibly 5 weeks, depending on how you celebrate it.
I wonder why August.
Sandwich Board put a pretty fancy graphic together there.
Well, playing to the kids,
so
Andrew.
tasty.
Little cartoons, playing to the kids. Dan, I got a challenge for you. I asked each of the guys their favorite sandwich, their one seed, the one that they couldn't live without. And can you guess whose is whom's is whose? I think you're going to knock this one out. Top left, Philly cheesesteak. Top right, brisket sandwich with coleslaw. Bottom left, chicken parm sub. Bottom right, French dip. Dan, I think you're going to go 4 for 4.
I'm not going to.
Really?
Wait.
I'll go McLovin Philly.
Okay. Brisket sandwich with coleslaw?
I'm just going to go brisket with you.
Yeah. Might as well put my name on it.
I know.
Okay, now think about this one for a second. Chicken parm
tastes so good.
Yes, but this person's mentioned how much they love chicken parm before.
And the only reason why I thought that is because Todd loves Peyton Manning, who did the chicken parm taste so good.
Way to put it together.
So I'm going to go chicken parm for Todd.
Okay.
Nothing to do with Peyton Manning, but chicken parm. My favorite.
A lot of
one.
pressure.
Nailed it.
And then Seton gives us the French dip.
Yeah.
That's a great collection of sandwiches, by the way. I'm
Really
proud
is.
of everybody.
That's great
French
photography.
dip looks a lot like the cheesesteak. When you think about it, they're really different.
Only better.
Different
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know.
Okay.
By the way, that cheesesteak.
That's not a true cheesesteak.
I don't know
there.
what's going on there.
There's onions, there's peppers, there's not enough cheese, but it's hidden.
Yeah.
In the
But that's
picture.
not a Philly cheesesteak. That's not like Geno's or something.
No, I googled Philly cheesesteak, and that's one of the pictures that came up. But it's more of like a,
Yeah.
More
I mean, it
for
looks
show.
amazing.
Aesthetically, they all look very nice
And
together.
that coleslaw dripping down from the top of the one there.
Todd talks about chicken parm like 3 times a week. You're
Yeah.
like,
I'm a big chicken
remember
parm.
when we would go to Quality Italian?
Yeah.
And like,
I think that's the greatest thing ever. The chicken parm
Oh, that
pizza.
chicken parm pizza.
When you introduced us to that, that was just
That
the greatest
thing
thing
is
ever.
amazing.
That can change your life.
Chicken parm pizza.
It sounds so simple, but it's so.
That's like inventing electricity. Or something.
Now, as always, this thing is just a ruse for us to order sandwiches today.
Right.
There's no content, there's no entertainment value. Not really.
11:30 sandwich
I think we
delivery
ordered
might be in the
French
works.
dip.
A little pre-Traeger Friday. lunch.
You've interviewed Bill Murray. Your last interview for Esquire was Bill Murray. How many times have you interviewed Bill Murray?
Maybe not countless, but it started in 1998. I think when Rushmore was released was the first cover that I was involved in.
How difficult is it just to track Bill down to set up an interview with him?
You don't track Bill down. He's untrackable. You get a vague commitment to show up at a point in time, and up until that point in time, you're not quite sure, whether Bill's going to show up.
But this is what happened the last time you were told, go to JFK Airport.
Right. My boss drove us out to JFK, had a photo shoot arranged. Maybe Bill's going to be on this flight. We know that his son is assistant coach at Xavier, playing that night in the tournament. And you just go and you hope that eventually the escalator down from the arrivals is going to bring you Bill. And there he was.
But does he know what he's doing to people?
I think there's a power thing involved. I don't think there's anything malicious about it. I think, like an angel almost. You count on him to appear, to show up. It's a wonderful life when Bill Murray shows up. I do think there's a power thing involved. When my wife's doing that to me, I certainly think there's a power thing involved.
So is he the Jimmy Stewart of comedy, as It's a Wonderful Life?
I think of Hank's more like Jimmy Stewart.
Yes, he's modern day.
Yeah,
yes.
I've tried hard to find a comp for Bill, and I really can't. I mean, Will Rogers, who no one remembers, was kind of a monologuist with a lasso. He was voice of the people at a time that seems like it's 1,000 years ago. Bill Murray represents, I think, something particular to Bill Murray. I don't think has been anyone like him in American popular culture. I can't find a comparable icon.
my God.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it!
Ready to play it and play it. This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Pasternak cuts through the middle. Right circle, it's fired. They score! The legend of Bergeron continues in double overtime. Bergeron wins it for the Bruins, 4-3 over the Hurricanes.
Patrice Bergeron. It's courtesy of the Sports Hub in Boston. Bruins take game one of their first-round series against the Hurricanes, and they do so in double overtime. Play of the day. Play of the day is brought to you by buyraycon.com. The wireless earbuds. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. We settled on a poll question. We're trying to find out from the Heisman Trophy Committee if there is going to be a Heisman handed out. Are they planning on handing out a Heisman? And I would think that the statement would be that they're still planning on handing out a Heisman Trophy this year. Yes, McLovin.
So you have three conferences, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's fair? Justin Fields, for example, might not get a crack at it.
Well, he won't.
Yeah, right. He wouldn't get a crack at it. So you could make an argument that it's an incomplete field.
I just don't know, where we're going to be in a month from now. Because right now it feels like you got three conferences who say we're going to be playing. All it's going to take are a couple of nervous presidents at some of these universities, and then all of a sudden you might not have a full conference who's going to be playing football. That's my guess with what's going to happen. No other information than what I've had the first couple of days of this week. The information I have with Nebraska is, once again, it's a legal loophole, I think, where the Big Ten is looking at Nebraska. If Nebraska goes rogue and says, wait, we didn't cancel the season. We postponed it to the spring. So you can't say, we can't play football. You're canceling this. We're postponing it. And that means we're planning on spring football. Yes, Paulie.
But you might look at it the other way. If I'm a Big 12 SEC, ACC president, and I decide to go rogue and cancel the football season for my team, my program, I would be concerned about my job long term. You know what stirs the drink at a lot of those universities is booster donor money. And if you're the president who takes, name a team, Mississippi State football out of the mix and everyone else is playing.
But should the president of Ohio State be worried about his job? I mean, what's the difference?
My guess is the fan base there is very upset with him.
You know what? Ohio State has a fan base that rivals SEC fan bases. I'm just telling you this, that because you think with Ohio and we don't lump them in with what the SEC has with their fan bases. Ohio State is right there toe-to-toe with any fan base that you have in college football. And I can't imagine that anybody is sympathetic with what's going on and saying, yeah, on second thought. I mean, I would say that the majority of Ohio State fans want to be playing football and not going, you know what? I understand the liability here, and it makes more sense with our student athletes. I don't think that's playing too well in Columbus, Ohio. We'll talk to Chip Kelly, the UCLA head coach, get his thoughts on all of this. I don't know what kind of impact the coaches or input the coaches had on this decision in the Pac-12. Because I don't even know, can you practice? And I know they're talking about spring football. I think spring football just takes away a little bit of the sting here, where you go, hey, can't do it now, planning on the spring. I don't know if you can pull this off in the spring. If you can't do it now, what's going to change? Unless we have a vaccine, is that it? And even then, I don't know if you're going to have these. Maybe the Ivy League pulls this off in the spring. But I think it's going to be, degree of difficulty is going to be high. But I still not quite sure why Iowa can't play, but Iowa State can play. In the same state, but a different conference. More phone calls coming up. Also, our friend Kyle Brandt, Good Morning Football co-host, had a podcast with Aaron Rodgers. It was really revealing. And Aaron's take on the media, I thought was interesting. I'll bring that to your attention. Kyle will join us coming up a little bit later on as well. 1 hour in the books, 2 more to go on this Thursday. Dan Patrick Show. You're a JUCO transfer to UConn, right?
Prep school. I went to Maine Central Institute.
Okay. Now, when you're coming out of that, what is recruiting like back then? How crazy was recruiting for you?
Oh, man, it was amazing because, I was the number one prep player in the country, and I had pretty much every team coming to watch me at Maine Central Institute. Head coach Max Good at the time at the New England Prep School, and it was just an amazing experience, and I was trying to go to the best situation for me where I can excel the most. And at the time, social media wasn't available. So the trending thing was to get as close to ESPN as possible. And I went to the University of Connecticut, which was in Stores, right by the University of ESPN, we called it.
Would you tell me if you got illegal offers?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Did you?
Yes.
You don't have to tell me the school, but tell me the offer. What was Caron Butler worth on the open market back then?
Hey, listen, I think, a lot of people came in with, extremely high bids, anything from $80,000 to $100 and some $1,000. And what I would say is, if you can be bought, you can be sold. And, I wasn't for sale on the market. I wanted the college experience. And because I've been through adversity as a kid, as a young age, I felt an insult, when people came to me, trying to buy me for my talent or what I can bring to a team. And I felt like the biggest asset was me just, coming with my talent and, the exposure of me seeing things that I've never been exposed to, and I can be an asset to any organization.
But also, you're getting money, but then there's people, family jobs, they're setting people up here. And I don't know if you experienced that as well.
I didn't experience that part of the game because, I never took no bribe or any offer like that. Coach Calhoun was as straight as possible. He said, if you come here, you're going to be family for life. And he never lied about that. And what he did tell me is that, conductive criticism is going to make you or break you. And if you come to the University of Connecticut, you're going to be the best possible version of yourself leaving here. And he didn't lie about that either. One of the best decisions that I ever made. He came to me, looked me in my eyes as a man, and I think my upbringing was a little different because I've been through a lot of adversity early. And I was just in search for somebody to treat me as an equal, not to try to come to me with any type of bribery, and that's exactly how he came to.
Do you think if we allow these students, these kids to come out of high school and go right to the pros, are we going to be done with paying these players, or will that continue?
I think it will continue to some extent, but also I think that it has to be visited where when kids are young enough and talented enough. You can't have a roadblock in that situation. If they're capable, if their skill set and their talent is able to put them on a platform where they can excel in the NBA space immediately, why not? That should be opportunity for them. That's a God-given talent that they was touched with, and they should be able to explore that as early as possible. But I don't think it's going to change much because that's just the game. Unfortunately, and it's damaging a lot of careers, and also it's toxic to a lot of families because once you're exposed to that type of environment, it hinders them in their growth.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Adrian Wojnarowski had a Woj bomb. He's saying that you can now invite guests into the bubble.
Hello.
Oh, thank God. Any individual the player has not previously met in person or with whom the player has had limited in-person interactions.
What? You're joking.
This is what it says. For example, known by the player only through social media or an intermediary.
Speaking of getting boned. And the Emmy goes to.
We're talking to Rick Neuheisel, CBS Sports college football analyst.
MLB Tonight.
And again, congratulations on that Emmy, man.
No, we lost.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we kind of performed the way you did when you were at Colorado and UCLA.
Go ahead and rub it in.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Thursday, we'll check in with Chip Kelly of the UCLA Bruins in a couple of minutes here. This program brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT 4-door coupe because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the DP Show app or danpatrick.com. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. Couple of headlines. Blazers, Grizzlies, Suns, Spurs still in the playoff mix. The Greek Freak suspended for one game with the headbutt. The NFL's coronavirus test rate under 1%. Big 12 is in. Nebraska and Ohio State maybe looking to play. From what I was told with Nebraska, if they decide to go rogue, the term that stood out was the season wasn't canceled, it was postponed, and that would make it harder for Nebraska to say, we want to go play football. Also, you have that question, at least I did. I was not playing, but Iowa State is playing. It's just two different philosophies with two different conferences there. 877-3DP Show, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle at DP Show. McLovin, the poll question.
Should they hand out the Heisman? 56% say no.
I have the odds before the pandemic. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, De'Aaron King, Miles Brennan, Spencer Rattler, Adrian Martinez. How long has Adrian Martinez been at Nebraska?
Well, Taylor Martinez was there for 4 years too. So
okay,
so he's a new,
just
he's a newer
another.
Martinez,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, all right. So those are some of the top Heisman candidates before they shut down the season. Let's bring in the UCLA head coach Chip Kelly, who joins us on the program. Coach, how are you today?
I'm good. Trying to figure out how to navigate the next 6 months here.
How are you planning on doing that?
Well, we have to get rulings from the NCAA of what we're actually allowed to do with our players since the season has been postponed. So, what can you do? Right now, our guys are just lifting and running with our strength and conditioning coach. We haven't done any on-field work because we haven't actually been allowed to by the state and local authorities. So we were a little bit behind some of the other schools. You look at network television and see other schools practicing, and we haven't been allowed to do that yet. So we're trying to navigate and put a schedule together of what the next couple of months will look like.
How were you told that the season was postponed?
We had a meeting on Monday night with all the coaches and the athletic directors, and then with the medical staff, the COVID medical staff for the league, and they kind of gave us a lot of statistics of what's going on in the Pac-12 communities in terms of rates of COVID in the areas that we live in. Then they talked a little bit about the cardiac implications that they're starting to learn about with COVID. And then they talked about testing. And so that was Monday. Tuesday, there was going to be a meeting on Tuesday morning with the CEOs, the presidents and the chancellors of the university. And then they would vote on it, on what was going to be the determination of when do we play. And then I would get told around 1:00 on Tuesday afternoon that there was going to be a press release that we were going to postpone the season.
If it was a coach's vote, how would that have gone to play football?
That's You know what? I don't know if we would have voted after listening to the medical people talk. I think going into that meeting, everybody was really gung-ho about getting back with our players and understanding, that there are implications for COVID, and everybody knew it. But I think after our meeting with the medical people, there were some eye-opening things there, at least for myself, that I was unaware of at the time. So,
What stood out? Can you give me one of those bullet points?
yeah, I think the increased concern over the cardiovascular thing, when you look at Eduardo Rodriguez, the pitcher for the Red Sox, who's out with an inflamed heart, the young man in Indiana, Feeney, the offensive lineman that had an incident. They brought up there was a pitcher in the Tacoma area in Washington, a high school kid, 18-year-old kid that died from COVID in the springtime, that could have been part of it also. So some of those things, I think, there was also a basketball player that played at Florida State that was playing overseas that passed away. So they came, that starts to hit home a little bit when you're starting to hear about, it's a little bit. And the other thing that we were made aware of is that you could be asymptomatic and still have heart issues. And some of these heart issues wouldn't be detected unless you had a cardiac MRI. And those are a little bit different and hard to get from a testing standpoint, is the way they explained it to us.
How did you tell your team?
We had a Zoom meeting. We're still not allowed to meet with them with that many people in person. So we got the news at 1:00, and then we got everybody on a Zoom call at 1:30. And then our position coaches called everybody individuals, and we're in the process of touching base with all of our kids individually. And then I was down at workouts yesterday. I'll be back down again today to talk to them face to face, or mask to mask, I should say.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand this, Chip, where the information you have with the Pac-12, how is that different? Is it different than what the ACC or the SEC or the Big 12 have, or the Big 10 has? I would love these medical communities to get together and make it on a Zoom call and share their information. Like, we should understand this, I think, to be fair to the sport, student athlete, and really to society. What is at stake here? And what are we finding out? And why aren't we cross-pollinating and sharing that information?
That's a great point. I don't know how that community talks. The other issue is that the prevalence of cases in the Pac-12 communities is different than the prevalence of cases in Nebraska, so to speak. So I think there's also, there can't be a one-size-fit-all as I understand this, because some areas have been infected a lot more and other areas aren't as infected, so I think that has to be taken into consideration. There are different parts of the country that aren't as infected as this, and that's the deal. And then the next step becomes testing. So if you have a community that has a lot of COVID cases, then your testing is slower than places when there's not a lot of it. That's why I don't think there's a one-size-fit-all for some of these things. And that's where it gets frustrating when you look at it overall and say, how come, and we have to answer those questions, how come they can practice and we can't practice? But there were times earlier when we would send tests away, but it would take 7 to 10 days to get test results back. And understanding that is that we're trying to get our asymptomatic third string left guard tested, and there's people on ventilators that need to get tested. Yeah. So there's a social responsibility that goes along with it too, when you're in a community that has a lot of COVID cases.
Has it hit you yet that you're not going to be coaching football this fall?
A little bit. But obviously it's not all us. I mean, women's soccer can't play. I go back to the spring when we were sitting in a meeting and our basketball coaches, Corey Close and our women's basketball team was getting ready to be a high-ranked team in the NCAA tournament. So they were affected. Our baseball and softball teams were affected in the springtime. So it is football, and that's our job, and that's our lives, and that's what we care about our players. But everybody's been affected by this. Mike Yam, who's a great sports media guy out here in the Pac-12, I just saw that he just got released and is not working because the Pac-12 network isn't going to be broadcasting games in the fall. So it's a little bit bigger, and I think we have to step back as individuals and say, poor me. There's a lot of people that have had implications from this, and we somehow have to get a handle on it, because it's not just sports related, it's everything related. And when you get a death toll over 160,000 in this country, sometimes when you say, hey, I can't play football, I maybe there's some other things that are a little bit more important than us playing football right now.
I know you hope to play football in the spring. Do you expect to play football in the spring?
You know what? That's a great question, Dan. And I don't know if we can. And I've said that. Can you play 2 seasons in one calendar year? And what is that toll? Our whole goal and everything we do, and our chancellor said it, our North Star that guides us is the health and safety of our players. So, we better really look from a health and safety standpoint. Say we have a vaccine. Can you actually play a football season in the spring and then come back and play a football season in the fall? That's never been done, but I think we need to look into that part too before we just say, hey, automatically we're just going to play in the springtime, because, how safe is that? And I don't know that information. And when we get to situations where it's medical and some of those things, I'm going to defer to the experts in terms of what they will tell us in that, because I don't have the answers on that situation.
Thank you, Coach. Do we know if players are going to be able to transfer? Are you aware, concerned if any of your players would be able to go and try to play someplace this fall?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from the NCAA. They just made a ruling yesterday about eligibility. You would retain your eligibility if you opted out or if you played in less than 50% of the games. So that's the first ruling that we've gotten. I think this is all new for everybody, as it came down with both the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And then, I know obviously we're the Power 5 conferences, but you feel for the guys in the Mountain West and the MAC. They're done. And then people have already forgotten about the Ivy League and Division II and Division III. And, we're not the only ones that have this, but the NCAA has to really come out quickly here with some rulings for everybody, because players have to make decisions. So I don't know exactly what that ruling is, and would kids be instantly eligible or not instantly eligible? And there's a lot of work to be done, even though we're not playing football, but there's a lot of work to be done, especially administratively.
How about USC and UCLA just have a scrimmage in November and we televise it? You okay with that?
I would love that. And I think Clay would love that too. We could put a bubble over the Rose Bowl and you could live up at the Rose Bowl for a couple weeks, so that we made sure there was no COVID and then go play. I think that would be a great experience for everybody.
That'd be great. Coach, good luck. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Chip Kelly, UCLA head coach. It's a whole new world of trying to figure out what is going to happen, and are you going to lose players? I know that we talk about the hope of playing in the spring. I think it's going to be difficult for these schools that have already opted out to all of a sudden say, now we're going to play. I don't know what will change. Hopefully something changes, but you can tell it, you can hear it in his voice. I don't think he's planning on playing football in the spring. All right, some phone calls here. It does get to you after a while. I know that you getting this information, me delivering this information, I get bummed out about it because you want this to happen. But more than just football, you want people to be healthy, to have normal lives. Restaurants, everything that's being shut down. People in my industry who have lost their jobs because of this. Now, we're fortunate. There's only less than, 10 people who work on this show. And we're fortunate to be able to go to work every single day, not take pay cuts. There are people who are really struggling in a variety of ways. And I know health-wise, but just the sports aspect of it, people losing their jobs. And I don't know if it's going to get better anytime soon. I hope that the SEC, ACC, Big 12, they can pull this off, and maybe other schools, conferences follow suit. I hope. I just have to have my doubts. I have to be based in reality here. The NFL starts 4 weeks from tonight. I think the NFL is going to start. I think they got a pretty good infrastructure going on right now. I just worry 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season, do you start seeing players who start to feel a little friskier and they want to get out and have some fun? Because you saw that with the Cleveland Indians. We saw that with some of the St. Louis Cardinals, the Miami Marlins. When you go rogue, now you put your entire team in jeopardy and other teams in jeopardy. That's what happened with, the idiots with the Marlins and the Cardinals, and you go out and then you come back. Now those other teams that did it right, now they have to try to make up these games, and it's not fair to them. And then you have the Cleveland Indians pitchers. They go out on the town in Chicago. That's what worries me about the NFL. They're going to start. They're going to have good safety measures in place, But what happens when somebody says after 7 or 8 weeks, I got to get out. I got to go do something. I think you're starting to see some of these NBA players and how they're acting, reacting. What happened with the Greek Freak with a headbutt? What's going on? Damian Lillard and the Clippers, and like it feels like they're just, you're cordoned off from society, from the world. You're truly in a bubble, and you start to go stir crazy. And I think you're starting to see that with the NBA. LeBron hinted at something the other day. I don't know what it was, but he talked about something that's off the court. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to figure that out because I don't know what he's alluding to. But he was saying it, and he wanted it to get out, but I don't know. But he said he didn't want to talk about it. I don't know what that is, but there's something there. Chad in Minnesota is joining us, and we'll get a couple more phone calls in here. Hey, Chad, what do you have?
How about a stat of the day?
Oh, okay. Let's fire up the music for Chad.
Can I get Darius?
You want Darius Rucker?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's Chad. Let me see if we can find Darius Rucker here for you. Stat of the
Been
day.
a while since I heard that one.
Okay. Let me see if we can.
You're going to have to give me a second.
Okay. All right.
Give me that beat.
Okay. Let's see if we can. Here we go.
Stat of the day. Toronto Blue Jays.
No, Chad, you're screwing it up. Chad, you asked for Darius and you screwed it up.
I started. I'm mad. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm going to try it one more time. Here we go.
All right.
Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes the stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes the stat of the day.
The Toronto Blue Jays, fourth team in MLB history to hit 7 home runs and lose.
Okay.
Here comes the stat of the day.
All right. That's Chad letting it breathe. Thank you, Chad.
That's one of the best we've ever had.
Yeah.
By far, one of my most favorite stat of the days
That's
ever.
my favorite stat of the day that we've had in the last 5 minutes. The Blue Jays, the first team in baseball history to have at least 18 hits, 7 home runs in a game, and still lose. I think Chad had to add a little bit more there. Chris in Virginia, then we'll take a break. Hey, Chris, what do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan, 5'10", 150. Okay. First of all, it's ridiculous he didn't win the sport. Ridiculous. Second of all, we had a question. We're big Hard Knocks fans in this house. We're big Chargers fans. But so there was that scene where Jalen Ramsey was being asked about his contract.
Yep.
And, it was clear like he didn't want to give an answer, but these reporters kept pushing. So I'm just sort of curious, as a journalist, when do you make that cut between asking a question again and again when you're not going to get an answer and potentially alienating a source and moving on? So I'm just sort of curious about your take on that.
You mean when I had Kyler Murray on and I kept asking him questions and he didn't answer any of those questions? That kind of moment? I saw that on Hard Knocks with Jalen Ramsey. And I don't think Jalen understood. The reporters are asking, is your contract going to be an issue when the season starts? And then he says, hey, it's my agent and the team are taking care of that. So instead of saying, he eventually got around to saying it. They asked him 3 times. And he walked out, and then he came back and he said, hey, you know what? You keep asking me, and I'm giving you the answer that I want to give you. I'm not going to change my answer, basically, was what he was saying. But all they wanted to know is this going to be an issue if it's not signed, settled before the start of the season? And if he would have said, my agent and the team are working on this right now, but I can't be concerned with it. It won't bother me once I start playing football. Then that's it. Then it goes away. He made it a more uncomfortable situation because he wasn't answering it. They're asking something specific. Is this going to be, something that bothers you when the season starts? And I would have kept asking. I would have asked one more time, and I would have said, Jalen, I want you to understand what I'm asking you. I know that the team and your agent are going to work on this contract. They're working on this contract. How is it affecting you? That's what I want to know. How is this affecting you? And then if he says, it's not, Or if he says, look, my agent and the team are working on this, then I would have said, all right, fine. I'll close up shop and we'll move on to something else. I don't want to be antagonistic, but I also want you to know exactly what I'm trying to ask you. And I tried to do that with Kyler Murray when he joined us at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I was trying to help him and look, you're going to take Gatorade's money and sit down and do these interviews. You're getting paid to do these interviews. And he just sat there and didn't say anything. And then he looked over to his dad as if, can I say something? And I was like, you got poor advice. You got really poor advice, kid. And you're embarrassing yourself here. And I was trying to get him off the hot seat, and he just wouldn't help. Yeah, Paulie.
I actually watched a clip of that for the first time in a long time the other night.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you were laughing and keeping it fun, and you were asking different versions of questions like, why would you go to the combine or not go to the combine? He goes, well, if I told you that, I'd be telling you what I'm doing. And you're like, no, you just tell me why you would or wouldn't if you were playing football. And he just kind of locked up.
And I got information that morning that he was going to be playing football. I wanted him to tell me because, if I would have said, from a source is telling me you're playing football, I wouldn't have gotten anything. He wanted to be mysterious with it. I got it. But don't take Gatorade's money and sit down in the chair without me asking you questions.
You could tell that whole week the marketing people were enjoying the fact that he was getting all his attention. Once he makes his decision, he becomes somewhat less interesting.
Oh, no, he would have been more interesting if he had made up his mind to play football because then he would have answered the question.
I guess what I mean is he was an unanswered question walking around Super Bowl week.
Yeah, but he embarrassed himself. That's where if I'm a marketing company and powerful as Gatorade is, hey, let's get our answers straight of what we're going to say. You have a mock interview process, and you say, they're going to ask you this, how are you answering? They're going to ask you this, how are you going to answer? You can't go out there and go, hey, I'll just kind of, I don't know, ad-lib my way through it. It didn't go well. But, yeah, you can ask, but you got to be respectful. But also I want you to understand what I'm asking, what I want an answer for. 22 after the hour. Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football. We always love talking to him. He's got a new podcast. His first guest was Aaron Rodgers, and it was really revealing, including Aaron Rodgers' take on the media. We'll have that for you, and Kyle will join us as well. 22 after the hour here on the Dan Patrick Show. LegalZoom is here to help you navigate this whole new world out there, and maybe you've been wondering about the best way to protect your family or starting a business, maybe restarting a business. If you have legal questions, don't let them hold you back. LegalZoom has been dedicated to helping you with the right solutions for more than 19 years. If you're looking to protect your family with a will or living trust, or you're thinking about maybe the right way to start a business, a DBA, an LLC, a nonprofit, LegalZoom's got you covered. They're not a law firm. That's a good thing. You don't have to leave your home, and you don't get charged by the hour. You can get started online. And if you need guidance, their network of independent attorneys will provide advice to ensure that you make the right choices. Can't say enough about our partnership with LegalZoom. Great people. Visit LegalZoom.com today to take care of some of the important things that you need to get done. Maybe some of the things during the pandemic that you've been holding off doing. That's LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. And once again, you need to make it legal. Make it LegalZoom.com. Is McLovin on the line?
He is.
Hey, McLovin, what's up?
Hey.
What's going on?
Well, first of all, Dr. J, remember when he wrapped around the entire Lakers team under the basket and hit that up in the final?
Yep.
But I had a situation here. I'm on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and I had every parent's worst nightmare. I'm at the beach, and what do I see about 50 yards away from me?
Fritzy.
No.
It's not
No. That would have been like an eclipse of the sun. No, I saw a black fin rise out of the water. About literally like half a football field away from where me and the kids are playing in knee-high water.
So your daughters are in the water, and you see a shark.
Yes. I thought it was a shark.
Well,
so I go all Chief Brody and run out and say to everybody, people, there's a shark in the water. I just saw a black fin. I'm basically like, let's shut Amityville down. I would have started whistling if I could have. Then some lady is sitting two chairs down. She goes, I think that's a dolphin. They were out here earlier feeding. And, okay, you would think that would convince me, but how do I met her earlier. Cindy from Ohio is not a marine biologist. How does she know it's a dolphin and not a shark? So I refuse to listen to her.
McLovin, if you see people petting it, then I'm going to guess it's not a shark.
Well, it was black, and it wasn't. Actually, come to think of it, it wasn't really shaped like a shark fin. But I'm not gonna risk it. I'm staying out of the water. I haven't touched the ocean yet. The kids are playing fine. Nobody else cares except for me. The entire island is oblivious to it. They're just going on in their lives.
Sunblock, okay? That's key for you, okay?
You're going to be shocked. I'm going to come back pretty tanned. I mean, you might think, oh, is it Cristiano Ronaldo or is that McLovin? I am working on a solid base right now.
All right. You're back on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right.
If the Sharks don't get me. The Sharks don't get me.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, McLovin. That's McLovin. He's yelling, running for his life. Everybody get out of the ocean. It's a dolphin. Kids are petting the dolphin, riding them.
I'm back. You guys thought you're gonna get rid of me, huh? Yesterday, unfortunately my mic wasn't on. Wasn't happening. I'm back today and I'm better than ever. We got some mail. We got a couple things. We got some patches, some hats. First thing we got is a Lifeguards of Los Angeles. Look at that. Lifeguards of Los Angeles. I think this is the first hat. I'm gonna put it on. First hat we've gotten instead of a patch. Look at that. Lifeguards. They say, I hope you put the patch. Oh, there's a patch in here as well. I hope you put the patch and hat on display. What's going to take for you and Dan to come to LA for the week? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. Not great with, the pandemic, but maybe we'll get out there. And then we got a apron for Alan, the IT guy. Alan, you got a gift. Yeah, Alan got a gift. Look at that. Meat Friday. That's gonna look great on you, Alan. Put it on. Let me tie it for you. Let me tie that for you, Alan. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. That's hot. That's our grill daddy. That's all we got today. See you guys.
I just saw this tweet from the Phoenix Suns, their website. Good morning to everyone except at Memphis Grizzlies and at Portland Trailblazers. Yes, McLovin.
Wasn't the Phoenix Sun introduction of having the family members come? That I teared up watching.
That was really emotional with family members who were doing the introduction, and the players did not know that. I thought it was really well done. Kyle Brandt, co-host of NFL Network's Good Morning Football, and he's got a new podcast. And his first guest with his podcast was Aaron Rodgers. The new podcast, 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, now available on Spotify, YouTube, and Aaron Rodgers. And they created some headlines a couple of weeks ago when some of the excerpts leaked out, or they had them leak out, and Kyle joins us now on the program. Congrats on the podcast there. Nice get, the first guest there, Kyle.
Thanks, Dan. I'm thrilled to be here. And if you're starting a podcast, you better have a banger first track on that album or somebody's going to the other one. It's tough out there in the podcast streets. A lot of traffic. So Rodgers did me a huge solid, man.
Now, sources close to me tell me that Aaron Rodgers was drinking scotch throughout the 2-hour interview on your podcast. Is it mandatory that every guest will be drinking to answer your questions?
Absolutely. They have to sign something that says not only will they drink, Dan, they will drink heartily. I did this on a Friday night. It was in the evening. I mean, this is like 8 or 9 o'clock. It's just when he could do it. And he sits down and he's got a massive glass of scotch. And we talked for almost 2 hours, Dan. He pulled from the scotch throughout, up through high wire act questions, difficult topics. You could almost play a drinking game, just drink every time Rodgers drinks. And it's ironic because he's the one who got his chops busted because he couldn't chug a beer. And everyone said, ha, you can't chug a beer. This guy can put it back like Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood. It was so much whiskey, and still he was so erudite and open. It was a dream shot.
What's the most honest or revealing moment you had?
Well, a couple. In a long talk, there was a couple. On the surface level, Dan, I was shocked to find out that Aaron Rodgers is a massive karaoke guy, and his go-to song is an 80s power ballad by the Scorpions called Wind of Change, which is about socioeconomic politics in the Soviet Union. It's a heavy jam, but he goes to that routinely and apparently has karaoke parties in Green Bay after games.
Okay. Now, what was the revealing moment that, like, was there something, because we know what's happened in the offseason here when he found out they were taking Jordan Love.
Yeah. The most revealing moment, I think this what's really was startling about it, Dan, was just there was such certainty in the way he spoke about the end of his times in Green Bay. He knows for a fact that clear as day that he will one day play an NFL game without a Green Bay Packers uniform because he doesn't want to stop playing. He wants to play well into his 40s. I'm talking another 5, 6, 7 seasons. And there was no frustration, no anger, almost a touch of sadness. But when you talk about how's this thing going to end, he just says, well, they're going to go with the kid. They're going to go with Jordan Love. I know that for a fact. And it's not as if he spent the summer wrestling with it after the pick. I think he just is so calm. And I was expecting some frustration, especially as the scotch kicked in. But no, it just calm certainty, as if someone who knows what their fate is and they're just going to ride it out.
He's Kyle Brandt, co-host of NFL Network's Good Morning Football. 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, his podcast now available on Spotify and YouTube. I wanted to bring this up and play it for you, play it for the audience.
Okay.
And it's a little bit lengthy, but it has to do with Aaron Rodgers' view, his take on the media. So this is part of the podcast.
What I, laugh at, do not spend any time watching, but unfortunately, it's usually like ESPN's on here and, the network's on over there, kind of in our cafeteria. It's just like 4 guys, 4 men or 4 women, whoever it shakes out. And everybody's just trying to say the most outlandish thing possible to get the most clickbait. And I've said it many times about clickbait. My problem with putting ridiculous headlines on the stories is that in this culture where the attention span is so short for so many people, even people probably listen to this interview or watching this who, can't stay on the entire time because they got other things to do and other things looking at their phone. It's like all they're going to read is 8 words on an ESPN front page. And they think that's going to, that's what these people are trying to get people to click on, because if they get a 1 second page, 1 second on that page, that counts as the page view. And the more page views you get, the more ad revenue you get. And I think it's really low class journalism. It's like some of the headlines that get put on some of these articles that have nothing to do with what's actually content wise in the article. I think it's poor journalism. I think it's a total lack of integrity. And I don't want to listen. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to listen to 4 people, on some show yelling at each other about opinions. Do they really feel that way? Is that like, are they just trying to be the most outlandish, opinion possible so they get the most views when it gets, retweeted on Twitter or posted on a 10-second blurb on ESPN.com or something? I just think it's really done a disservice to the, industry of journalism for sure.
So what'd you make of that?
Very surprised. The question was just, hey, Aaron, you watch a lot of football TV. What's your least favorite kind? What's the little pet peeve you had? And I thought he was going to go to X's and O's, because I know he's spoken before about analysts doing X's and O's drives him crazy because they always have it wrong. We'd have some laughs. But he took a deep breath. He kind of loosened his neck up, and then he let it rip. And it goes on. And we talk about some of the debate shows and ESPN shows. And I mentioned Stephen A. by name, and there's an inference of the Bayless types and whatnot. And he uses words like sellout, and he uses words like integrity. And he was really, really, really pissed about that whole thing. And I was surprised by it. But I think there's a lot of scar tissue there. That seemed to me like one of these things, just let it all out after years and years and years. There's a couple other things, Dan. If you pay attention to him really closely, I know you've spoken to him a bunch. I can't put words in his mouth, but there seems to be some problem with ESPN as a whole. There's another part in our conversation where he was talking about the summer of 2008, which was a huge summer for him because it was the Favre vacillating between retiring and is it going to be Aaron or not. And he said he was in Tahoe playing in the golf tournament. He just, as a throwaway comment, he says, I did the Sunday conversation because they tricked me into that. And I followed on it, and he kind of didn't want to get into it anymore. But there seems to be an ESPN issue. Again, I can't speak for him, but in 2 hours of talking, I think it was his most passionate, vein in the neck bulging type rant. And I think there's more where that came from.
Just so you know, full disclosure, I verbally spanked you a couple of weeks ago when you sent out a tweet about people in the industry maybe rooting against the football season. So I wanted to give you that opportunity to maybe clarify, or maybe it was semantics, or maybe you didn't understand how people were going to take that. But you kind of said, I'm not quoting verbatim, but there are people in the industry who are rooting against the football season to start, right? And I told you so.
Yeah, I think it was. It almost feels like certain people in the football industry are rooting for the season to be affected.
Yeah.
And I've been asked, do I regret tweeting that? And Dan, for people who you were listening who don't know me, I'm not a provocateur. I don't lob grenades on Twitter. I don't say things. I don't incite. It's just not how I make my living. So sure, I regret it just because there were some people who were really insulted by it, and there are people who I respect, and even more importantly, people that I like that were insulted by it. And it sounds like maybe I'm talking to one, but at the same time, the reason why the tweet resonated and the reason why it's interesting isn't just because I made a stupid tweet and pissed people off. It's because in addition to all the people who were mad about it, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of likes. It seemed to tap into something that people also felt, which was very strange. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, Dan, if I could go back, I wouldn't tweet it because I'm not in the business of just pissing people off, but I also didn't take it down, because I do think that there is a thread of truth to what I tweeted.
Yeah, and look, it didn't ruin my day. I just, my point is that it makes my job easier when there is the NFL. It makes my job easier. People accused me on Monday when I had the story, college football is closing up shop in the Big Ten and Pac-12. People said, oh, you're getting your wish. My job has been so much tougher the last 4 months. Now we have sports. I can't imagine not having football in the fall, certainly with the NFL. So it didn't ruin my day. I felt bad for you because I understood what you were saying. I just don't know if you knew how people are going to consume it in the industry.
I think you're probably right. And listen, I make my living off football every morning too. I've taken a pay cut already. I may take another. And of course, Dan, the columnist and the radio host and the NFL lifer, of course, they're not rooting for the season to be affected at all. But it was the end of the show. It was a long show. It was a tedious show. And the Miami Marlins news started coming down. And I just got kind of depressed. I didn't like it. I felt bad. I felt down on myself. And you go to Twitter, which is the worst decision possible. And I got pissed off by some of the tone that I was reading. It's just, listen, all of you, me, of course we're rooting for this season. I think, though, there is a small yet pungent minority who are rooting for the NFL to be humbled.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was responding to.
Yes. And I think that, we've heard that with baseball. Anytime I bring news that's negative news, I get people who say, oh, you might be getting your wish. I'm not.
I know.
My wish is that we have sports. That's all. Like you're blaming the pizza guy, the delivery guy, if the pizza's bad. I didn't make it. I'm just delivering it to you. Sources close to me tell me that you have a couple of questions for me. You're going to turn the tables, Kyle. Is that what you're going to do?
All right. Well, Dan, this is my chance to
Paulie,
give you
you got some scotch?
You already had some.
Oh. I got some tequila.
All right. So the deal is, Dan, with the new show, I had to do something different. I can't just sit down and have a guest on and ask a couple questions. I don't have the platform or maybe the talent. So I asked Rodgers, and I've asked Paul Rudd and Tyrann Mathieu and Kirk Cousins. You asked them a trivia question. Could be totally random. Okay. If they get it, they get a point. If they don't, they get nothing. And then we reveal how it's attached to their life. So would you be willing to indulge in 2 questions?
Sure.
You're in.
Sure, why not?
All right, here we go. Dan Patrick, question number 1. Your category is breakfast.
Okay.
Dan, what sugary breakfast cereal is infamous for cutting the roof of your mouth when you eat it?
Captain Crunch always did that for me.
Captain Crunch is right. Dan Patrick, that is right.
Thank you.
It is Captain Crunch,
I
the
love it.
Navy man. And the reason I'm asking you about Captain Crunch, Dan, is that you have a history with a different captain, a very infamous one by the name of Captain Jenks.
Yes.
And you and I have joked about this off the air, but I never got to ask you about it. You were interviewing a farcical Steve Bartman on SportsCenter when Howard Stern prankster Captain Jenks got you on live TV. Incredible moment. When you look back on that, Dan, do you shake your head or do you laugh?
I laugh because there was nothing. I mean, I love Captain Jenks and Howard Stern, so part of me is like, damn, I'm going to be on Howard Stern's show. But the other part of me is, holy bleep, I'm live on SportsCenter, and I got humbled. I won an FME by Howard and Robin. So part of me was very proud that I screwed up to get on Howard's show. The other part was I'm live on SportsCenter, and that's not Steve Bartman I'm talking to.
Dan, I say this with due respect. I've watched you for decades. It's one of my favorite moments of your broadcasting
Thank
career.
you.
Because the reaction when he says, do you like Howard Stern's bleep cheese?
Yeah.
You take a deep breath, you look down, and then you look at the camera and say, we've been had.
Yeah.
That was not Steve Bartman. And then listen up. Coming up, we'll play Fact or Fiction, and Warren Sapp has gone from hunter to the hunted. More SportsCenter after this. The recovery was incredible to that left hook.
Oh, I'm sweating as we speak with you retelling that. Any other
All right,
questions?
so you're 1 for 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Question number 2.
Okay.
Let's see if we can stay hot, Dan Patrick.
Okay.
No
Okay.
help from the Danettes, please.
Okay.
Your category is cinema. What actress was nominated for an Academy Award for her role in the film Casino?
Sharon Stone.
Patrick's on fire. Ding! 2 for 2.
I'm in
It was Sharon
fuego.
Stone.
Yeah, I'm as hot as
I'm
the fake
fuego.
fireplace behind you there, Kyle. That
You
is.
started that fireplace.
It
I'm the
almost
big-
almost looked real. It almost looks real.
It's the fire from my takes, Dan. You know that's what you got to have these
yeah.
days. the hot take.
Yeah.
You said Sharon Stone, the connective tissue to you there. Stone, I also think of Stone Cold Steve Austin. One of my favorite SportsCenter commercials is when you hit him with a steel chair. What are your memories of hitting Stone Cold with a chair?
Well, he told me to do it harder. And he put this little pad on the middle of his back. And he had back issues. And so the whole premise was he's there studying in our break room. I come in, I'm doing late night SportsCenter. And he's got to stretch a little bit. And he goes, can you help me here, Dan? And I grab this metal chair that I still have. It's in the studio somewhere. And I hit him. And the paper on the wall, bulletin board was like, whoosh. And he goes, you got to make it real. You got to hit me harder. And I go, okay. After the 4th time, I was like, all right, I'm bringing all the cheese I got. And I hit him so damn hard, and he didn't budge. And he just thanked me that I hit this little pad on his back because I couldn't imagine. If I missed, I would have broke something on him.
The last one, you crow hopped and did a full a Vlad Guerrero throw from the warning track.
Yeah.
Dan, my last follow-up is, when it came to the This Is SportsCenter commercials and the casting, did it get really competitive amongst anchors, and were their feelings hurt?
Yeah, there were people who didn't want to be part of it. I remember Bob Lee and some other anchors, they were above it. I will say that if there was a commercial shoot, a promo shoot, Stuart Scott would have been first in line to be there no matter what. Stuart was always, if you needed a SportsCenter anchor, Stuart Scott was there. We did have people who were lobbying for certain commercials with certain sports stars. And then we had like Gordie Howe was going to be with Oberman. Lance Armstrong was going to be with me. Some athletes ask for certain anchors to be in their promos, but competitive, yeah, a little bit. But you know what? That changed SportsCenter. That ad campaign was one of the great ones in history. But I've got to go. I can't just sit here. It's not a 2-hour podcast where I can just drink scotch. But congratulations on. It's great to talk to you, and give my best to Good Morning America. Good morning, Football America. Good morning, America football.
I will do that, Dan. You can spank me anytime.
That's Kyle Brandt. He's the popular co-host of NFL Network's Good Morning Football and 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt. Now available on Spotify and YouTube. We'll take a break. Phone calls are coming up next here on the Dan Patrick Show. I know you know this, but your kids have this archival footage of Dad. I mean, that's always your voice will always be there.
I never thought of it that way until you just said it that way. All those clips, they'll outlive me because I've been again given the great gift of being at some of these significant events. Just dumb luck. I happened to be there when Tiger won the 1997 Masters, and he closed it out with a 4-foot putt at the 18th to win by a dozen shots, and I said, there it is, a win for the ages. Well, that little narrative over that will be played back 100 years from now when somebody builds the opening montage and tees for the Masters. That's a moment that's evergreen, transcendent moment that will go on in time. I didn't really think about it at that time, or whatever it might be, a Super Bowl finish or a Gordon Hayward nearly making the shot, the half-court heave at the end of the game. Those clips are going to be played back for a long time. You just hope you do them right.
But do you think that you truly captured, like is there a moment you talk about Tiger? Is that the one that you go, got it? Like, I captured the moment in the way that it needed to be captured, no regrets.
You always have a little bit of doubt in the back of your head because it's live and you're not sure if you did it right. And you go back and listen to a show, and especially if it's like the next day, it never sounds like anything of it, any part of it was that great. Not that it ever is great, but
you got that one though. The Tiger one.
Well, I will tell you a brief story. I know you're probably up against the clock here, but I felt some pressure the night before because that moment was on the way, and Tiger led by 9 going into Sunday, and he was going to become the youngest champion. He was going to set the 72-hole scoring record. He was going to have the largest margin of victory. And then, of course, the social significance of Tiger coming to Augusta and winning. I mean, this was a gigantic moment. And I gave it a lot of thought. And some people said, oh, you pre-planned that line. You scripted that. I know you didn't just come up with that. But, there are certain situations where you know what's going to happen. If I didn't think it through the night before, I wasn't doing my job. For example, if I was a writer and I was covering the 1997 Masters, and on Saturday night with Tiger leading by 9, if you weren't thinking of how you were going to write your lead the next day, and instead you decided to go out and have dinner and 3 or 4 beers and a bottle of wine, you're not doing your job. Somebody should take your press pass away, the people that are paying your expenses. Your job is to go down there and document what's going to happen. And I knew I was sitting on the precipice of history, and I felt figuratively, I felt the presence over my shoulder of Jim McKay, Jack Whitaker, Pat Summerall. They were all still alive, and I knew that at that time, I knew they would be watching the next day, and I knew they would want to see how that moment was handled. So I knew it had to be succinct. I didn't know it was going to be a 3-foot putt, but you knew he was going to win, and I just thought that what could last in time was something as important as his victory. And ultimately, I thought to describe it as a win for the ages would be the appropriate line for that moment.
You captured it.
Well, thank you.
It was the right one.
I didn't know it till you just validated it. I'm serious. I mean, I've never really talked about it, but I hear it all the time. It plays back on all the promos and openings and things like that. And I'm pretty proud of it. It was a prideful day for all of us at CBS because there was no drama in terms of who was going to win. And the storytelling that came out of our entire crew, both verbally and through the lens of our cameras, the way that was shown, it was fresh every step of the way. There was nothing that was repeated. It was all great storytelling, documenting a historical moment that's one of the biggest of our time in any sport. I think it was Tiger's first major championship.
Kyle Brandt brought up that commercial I did with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is the metal chair that I used that I smacked him in the back. You can see if you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. There's dents here where I hit him so hard. And then he signed it for me. I don't know what he wrote on it other than there's Stone Cold Steve Austin. But there's some dents on this thing, man. Because people said, was that a real metal chair? I said, yes, it was. But he had a real small patch on his back, padding. And I had to hit that every single time. Couple of phone calls in here. Larry in Arizona joins us. Hey, Larry, what's on your mind?
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I wanted to thank you for having Chip Kelly on. Finally, a football coach who actually seems concerned about the safety and health of his players.
I thought it was a good appearance by Chip Kelly. And he normally is not a great media person, doesn't get along with the media, doesn't share very much. But thank you. I thought that what he was saying sounded like not a coach, just a person. You know, he was just talking about the local concerns that they have in Los Angeles with COVID and trying to get tested. And I don't know if he's planning on spring football. You hope for spring football? I don't think he's planning on spring football. Kyle in Pennsylvania. Hi, Kyle. What do you have for me today?
Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
Hi, Kyle.
So I just wanted to ask, 6 foot, 233.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask about the scholarship cap of 85 players per university. I keep hearing the media discuss the options of players like the best tight end in the country, Pat Fryermuth from Penn State, and Justin Fields transferring to an SEC school. Well, they still have their scholarship restrictions. So does that mean another kid is going to have to, from like Clemson, is going to have to give his scholarship up so someone can join the team and make a super team?
Yes.
And go Flyers.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. I'm going to guess if I could get Justin Fields, Jimmy Lipper. Sorry, we're going to take away your scholarship. But next year we're going to put you on scholarship. Yes, McLevin.
It's like September. You can't just pull a kid's scholarship right now, can you?
It's not September.
Well, it's 2 weeks away. It seems
I know.
late to pull a scholarship. That's a great question.
I don't know. You might just say to Justin Fields, come on down, play. You're not going to be on scholarship, but, we'll make sure that we take care of you.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's going to get in the way of somebody like that, of that magnitude transferring there. But they're just addressing this now. The NCAA is just getting around to addressing this. And they're probably it's going to be 2 weeks probably before they come up with a decision. We reached out to the Heisman Trust. Are they going to give out a Heisman? Now, I think they will this year, but I don't know if they've even broached the topic of voting on this. But I think the board of directors is going to meet in the next week, and they're going to decide if they're going to hand out a Heisman Trophy this year. In fairness to them, let's wait and see how much football we have, how much is played before we're going to hand out national title and Heisman Trophy and all of that. All right, final hour coming up, more phone calls. Also, if you miss this guy in Australia butchering the Greek freak's name, I'll play that for you coming up next hour. Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day talks about exploring options to play again this season. And Dak Prescott talks about his contract. All of that coming up. Final hour, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. You look like you're Shaft.
That's a good one.
That's a compliment.
That is a compliment to be Shaft. Man.
Yeah.
Shaft was a cool brother.
Yeah, but
that was a cool brother.
The original one was Richard Roundtree.
Yes.
Shaft.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
And then you watch.
Can you dig it?
Didn't Samuel L. play him in a movie?
I think so.
Yeah, I know when I saw it, because when he played the movie, I was like, he got my part. Darn, he got my part. I'm supposed to do that movie, man.
How many movies have you been in?
I think about 3, Dan. And
So
don't
you
say
were-
you did more than me. Don't even try that.
No, I did. Mike, I've been in 17 movies.
I've not been in 17, Dan.
Paulie?
Yeah, 17, Mike.
You're Dan Ed. What you think? Well, I expect you to say that. You're Dan Ed. He Paulie. Yeah, you're 17, Mike. 17, Mike. Come on. I don't take your word. You with him. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
I've been
What
in
is
a
that?
lot, Mike. So you were in Longest Yard. We were both in Longest Yard.
And we did, what's the one? Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill were in that one.
We did Jack and Jill. And then there was this other movie I did. Well, actually, I did 2 more, actually. One, we don't need to talk about. We don't need to talk. But the other one was pretty good.
You don't know what it is?
No.
I noticed you were stalling when you got pretty good, and you're trying to go, yes, Paulie.
So it didn't ring up anything.
I got Michael listed in Jerry Maguire as well.
Oh, yeah, well, I think that I didn't really go in being in the movie. They just kind of used some highlights of mine, and they didn't send any checks.
Okay, but
that doesn't count. But my wife says if no money came in, she doesn't count that as work.
But didn't the Cardinals play the Cowboys with Rod Tidwell? Was that the game that they showed?
Yeah, yes.
So
Yeah,
they showed the Cowboy highlights, but then
then showed
Rod
Tidwell.
Tidwell.
Right, exactly. And so they put us in there. But again, Jerry must have got that money.
Well, how good do you think he was as a wide receiver?
Who, Tidwell?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How good was he?
Like, did he look like he had talent?
Oh, and selling the piece.
Yeah.
Did he? He did. He was all right. That was a good movie. Now I love the movie. But you could tell he was acting wide receiver. Wide receiver, it takes something to play the position. You know what I mean? And it has to be engrafted in your spirit because we're different people. When we talk about Antonio Brown and these guys out here, you got to understand we're the most independent, dependent person in the world. We're out wide by ourselves, but we can't do anything without someone else. Independent, dependent, which brings conflict within your spirit. So people call us divas and all of that, but really we're just complex people. I'm enlightening you guys. Why is that funny? I'm giving you the truth. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. I'm listening.
Yeah, complex people, man. That's what it is.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Adrian Wojnarowski had a Woj bomb. He's saying that you can now invite guests into the bubble.
Hello.
Oh, thank God.
Any individual the player has not previously met in person or with whom the player has had limited in-person interactions
You're joking.
This is what it says. For example, known by the player only through social media or an intermediary.
Speaking of getting boned, and the Emmy goes to...
We're talking to Rick Neuheisel, CBS Sports college football analyst.
MLB Tonight.
And again, congratulations on that Emmy, man.
No, we lost.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we kind of performed the way you did when you were at Colorado and UCLA.
Go ahead and rub it in.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. I got to add a little levity. I want you to smile today, and I know I'm usually the bearer of bad news here, but I want to maybe get your Thursday started off on the right positive note here. This is from 7 News in Australia, as one of the reporters are trying to pronounce the name of Milwaukee's star, the Greek Freak.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, like, that's not even close. Let's try it again.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Normally when you have that kind of accent, no matter what you say sounds better. This guy's probably a handsome guy. He's there, on TV. I don't know if he proofread. I don't know if he read over that script before he got that. Let's hear it one more time.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Excuse me.
I don't know how you got from that to that. Ntamatangatu.
We should make up a jersey that's actually Ntakatamatamato.
I don't know how you spell it, but we should try to do that. Ntamatangatu. Oh, okay. Now let me tell you some bad news. No, I'm going to try to be positive during this final hour of the program. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney came out yesterday and said the national title will be no less valuable this season if it's only the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 playing. And no surprise, because he's got another championship caliber team. But even a more objective analyst has to admit that the championship picture is almost intact with those 3 conferences. You're not going to have Ohio State, but the other schools were probably going to fill out the Final Four. Like every other sport, college football fans will have to compromise. It's not a normal season. We know that. All you can do is hope that they actually play and that they play safely. Probably not worth spending too much time, energy debating the value of a national title. Oh, but there will be shows that will debate that. If Clemson all of a sudden wins a national title, is this a true national title? Should there be an asterisk there? I just want to have football. Even if it's a couple of conferences, great. I still think the bigger picture is I would love to know what the ACC, SEC, and the Big 12 are telling their schools. The medical community is telling their schools that maybe the Pac-12 and the Big 10 are not getting the same information. Or are they getting the same information? They're reacting different to that information. That's what I would want to know. And I would hope that we could get doctors from the ACC, SEC, Big 12, along with the Pac-12 and the Big 10, and get them together on a Zoom call and have them exchange information. Because if I'm in the Pac-12 or a Pac-12 coach or player or fan, I just want to know, what medical data are they looking at and what are we looking at? Are we comparing? Is it apples to apples or apples to cantaloupes here? I'm not quite sure. Also, there's been a lot of talk of Nebraska probably, or at least trying to go rogue here and play. And from what I was told by my source earlier this morning, the season wasn't canceled. It was just postponed. And that's the difference here. Nebraska can't argue, hey, you canceled the season. We want to play football. It was just postponed to the spring. And maybe, from what I'm told, Nebraska could try to find some teams to play. BYU, New Mexico State, maybe the American Athletic Conference, Conference USA. Maybe if you have some of these members of the SEC, ACC, Big 12 who are not able to play, or their presidents decide not to play football, then maybe Nebraska could do that. I was also told if Nebraska wants to leave the Big Ten, maybe go back to the Big 12. But the reason why they left the Big 12, or one of the biggest reasons, is they do not like Texas. And I don't know.
The state or
No,
the program?
the program.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the state.
No. I don't think so. I was just told that they have a distaste for Texas. And I'm going to guess that's the Longhorns. But that would be interesting if it has nothing to do with the Longhorns. We just don't like Texas, the state of Texas. But yeah, so that's just some of the information that we have so far. And we are in an I told you so environment here. Certainly in the sports world, we love to told you. I told you so. I want to be the last to say I told you so when it comes to any of these sports shutting down or not even getting started. I hope that we get football. 4 weeks from tonight, we play. The NFL plays. First regular season game is 4 weeks from tonight. I know that we're going to start on time. I don't know if we'll, go to completion or do we hit the reset? Do we hit a pause button here? I think that those things are all on the table here when it comes to the NFL. And the NFL, by all accounts, is doing everything that they need to do. They gathered the information from all the other sports, not just, baseball, basketball, but also they're looking at what's going on in soccer. In Europe, they want to know everything. They're collecting everything they can so there's no surprises. Baseball has had surprises where baseball go, wait a minute, we got a team that can't play. Now what do they do? I don't know. And you go back a couple of weeks ago where I joked, where I said, baseball should just play 7-inning doubleheaders. And next thing you know, baseball goes, and we're going to play doubleheaders and they're going to be 7 innings. I'm going, I don't know if this is really that well thought out here with what's happening with the Marlins, the Cardinals, and the other teams that are going to be punished because they have been able to play. They have been doing the right things. The Cleveland Indians, what they did, the two pitchers, Plesac and Clevenger. I can't punish these other teams who did it the right way, but I don't know if there's another plan here. How many games are you going to expect these teams to play? How many games can the Marlins play? How many games can the Cardinals play? And you're going to be asking teams, hey, you got to play a couple of doubleheaders now. It's just not fair. But I know it's been that's not fair, season here, year for all the sports. But this, to me, not fair at all. Some of these teams are going to have to double up. And the pitching staffs, they're getting chewed up. Oh, by the way, I just saw this. George Kittle, the Niners star tight end, has agreed to a 5-year, $75 million extension. Michael Silver, the NFL Network, reporting this. More than half of it guaranteed. Language being worked out. Numbers are there. One of the top players. This was a big-time priority. So Ian Rappaport reporting that. But I think Michael Silver is the first to have. I don't know. Somebody's going to get their feelings hurt if I don't get it right. But Ian Rappaport and Michael Silver apparently involved in this information. Yes, McLevin.
So he gets 15. The highest tight end before that was 10 per year. That's a pretty big jump.
Well, he's a different type of tight end. I think he has separated himself as him and Kelsey. They're not tight ends. The tight end position changed. Kellen Winslow, he was a receiver who was listed as a tight end. That ability to get down the field. Now, I can go back to, John Mackey, who played for the Colts, was a wonderful player, athletic player at tight end. Mike Ditka was an athletic tight end. But that ability to, have the tight end who has a linebacker on him or a safety, and he has the speed, if not more so, to get behind him. And then you had Belichick, leave it to Belichick to go, why don't we have two tight ends? And both can get down the field, and Aaron Hernandez and Gronk. And now you're starting to see even, you're looking at a tight end, and it's rare when you go, he's a block first tight end. And Kittle is a really good run blocker, really good. And, one of the more underrated aspects of his game, because their offense is predicated on running the football, but Kittle can beat you deep. And, if you say you got Kelsey, I got Kittle, I'm fine. If you say you got Kelsey and I got Kittle, I'm fine. Either way, I'm good with either one of those. Yeah, Paulie.
Offense is such a big thing in the NFL now. Aaron Donald's considered the best defensive lineman, Kittle best tight end. if Aaron Donald and George Kittle were both available, and you got to pay more for Donald, quite a bit, which would you take?
Well, how much more am I paying for Donald?
It's a bit, McLovin. It's a bunch, isn't it? Like for a
Well, now
defense,
that you got up to 15, I mean, I can't imagine it's much more than that. For
Is Aaron Donald a $20 million a year guy?
Probably.
But, $5 million is a lot, with the salary cap. Might not seem like a lot, but it is.
Isn't Donald like an exception, though, because he's so far and above the best defensive player? I mean, Kittle's the best tight end, but you said Kelsey's right there. So.
Yeah. I think because of today, in what is more disruptive is not the edge rusher. It's the guy who has the ability to go up the middle, because these quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball so quickly. I can disrupt you by going up the middle, and I can get my hands up. Whereas I'm an edge rusher, I'm going to need at least 2.5 seconds to get to you, maybe 3 seconds to get to you. Aaron Donald can disrupt the running game, and he can also disrupt the passing game by just moving the line in and having his hands up. So I would say Aaron Donald would be more valuable. Yeah, McLevin.
To tweak that, what if I gave you the best wide receiver in the game? I don't even know who it is, or George Kittle.
So if you said I could have Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, or George Kittle, I would take George Kittle. I think there are a lot of really good wide receivers. I don't think there are a lot of really good tight ends.
How about if I said DeAndre Hopkins? You love it.
I would take George Kittle. I'd take George Kittle. I mean, it's a weapon because I got a guy, and who's matching up with my guy? Linebacker can't. Can your safety line up with him? Do you have to put a nickel in there to cover him? There are a lot of really good wide receivers. There's only 2 elite tight ends in Kelsey and George Kittle. Yeah, Paul.
it's also interesting that Kittle and Kelsey also have star power. They are guys you focus on the field because you know they're going to get the ball. They're pretty entertaining with it and after the game. Like Kittle's a maniac out there. Kelsey's more of a showman, but Kittle sometimes seems like a WWE guy who plays football.
Yeah, McLevin.
I would argue for the wide receiver because they can cut the top off the muffin, as they say, or
Something
whatever.
like that, yeah.
Because they can get a 70-yard strike, so you got to be really scared of them. I don't know who that guy is, though. Odell. I'm not sure. Because Michael Thomas is basically a tight end.
Yes, he.
That first episode of Hard Knocks, there was a few funny moments where, especially with like Joey Bosa, where everybody, hey, money bags,
yeah,
let's go on. And again, it's got to be awkward in that, so where you just sign a monster deal and you know that a bunch of the dudes you're with aren't even sniffing that type. They're not even in the same zip code
It's
as
a
you.
good kind of uncomfortable.
It's a great kind of uncomfortable, but it's still every single person's like, hey, man, did you buy a boat yet or what? And everybody's talking about it.
It's like any article that's written about Mike Greenberg has his salary in there. Every single one. Stephen A. Smith now, every single article has his salary in there. Yes, Paul.
I saw the same thing Seton saw with Joey Bosa, but do you make a big deal of like doing something? It's like, all right, guys, when we go out, we're going out to dinner, or you have barbecue brought in for the whole team, spend a few grand to say like, look, I got paid, but I'm going to give it back immediately. Or is that like faux?
Well, I don't know if it's really, hey, let me spend $1,000 on lunch today.
I know.
$2,000. I would be, wait, we didn't get filet mignon? Wait, what do we got? By the way, are we ordering sandwiches today? You said it's National Sandwich Month.
That's right.
Okay, but you guys talked a great game last hour where you go, yep, we're getting sandwiches. What happened?
We are in the process of it right now.
You were in the process of it last hour. I can't entertain a nation.
Are you in?
And order sandwiches. I said, what are we ordering?
What's your single favorite sandwich if everything was on the menu?
I don't know if I have a favorite sandwich. But I'm open to whatever you guys, if you say we're doing cheesesteaks, then I'm in. If we're doing French dip, I'm in.
Oh, yeah, now you're talking.
Chicken parm,
Remember when they did the Italian beef sandwiches on the Traeger? Dang.
I know that it feels like I say this every week or every other week. Like this is the best thing we ever cooked on the Traeger. That might be the best thing that we've made on the Traeger.
I think it might be the best thing we've made on the sandwich. It might also be, it's probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my entire life. It's that good.
Yep. It was really good. Go ahead, Todd. Todd wants to do a playoff of George Kittle signing his contract.
It seems like they gave him the whole Kittle and caboodle. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's deserving.
Yeah.
We were right in the middle of a whole sandwich bit. It was crushing.
I know. But
I mean, we had 2 more minutes of sandwich talk.
We could never
easy.
get that momentum back.
No.
The sandwich momentum.
I had a whole steak and cheese thing cooking.
Thanks,
And I recommend the chicken cutlet. I know I'm big on chicken parm, but just the breaded chicken cutlet also works nice with some
All right,
peppers and mozzarella.
We're going to take a break here. Let me leave you with something funny.
The whole Kittle and caboodle.
Yeah, I know, because it's not Todd.
Because it's kitten caboodle.
No, we got
But this
it.
would be Kittle.
If you have to explain the joke, maybe if you're like 80 years of age,
It's
know.
a mid-19th century
Yeah.
slang phrase for
Yeah.
giving someone a lot of something.
Yeah.
Kitten caboodle.
So once again, 7 news in Australia as we go to break.
One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo. One of the NBA's biggest stars is in hot water on the eve of the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo.
I'll bet that guy is handsome as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And look great. You know, if you were going to have an actor, you go, oh, he looks just like Pierce Brosnan. Atakatakatompto. All right, we're going to take a break here. More phone calls coming up. It's 17 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Fraudsters are out there. You know, it feels like every week I'm telling you another story where they're getting into your personal information, getting into your email. Fraudsters are trying to capitalize these days by sending messages through social media and emails. They're trying to get consumers to fall for the scam that uses Cash App. I think we probably all, or most of us, have been exposed to this, where somebody needs money and you got to help them through a difficult time. Make sure you don't do that because they're stealing your money and your personal information. That's why it's great that there's LifeLock. And it's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft work. LifeLock detects a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. You have access to a dedicated restoration specialist to help you with your case if you become a victim. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock sees the threats you might miss on your own. Join now. Save up to 25% off your first year. Promo code Patrick, 1-800-LifeLock, or go to lifelock.com, promo code Patrick for 25% off. Does Celine Dion know you have that on? Is really that was the first thought I had. But
I love Celine Dion.
Yeah,
I love her.
Yeah,
man.
of course you do.
People expect me, you know, I just like her. I love Sam Smith. That's the kind of music I listen to. I think because I'm so big and black and hard, they think I listen to all the hard stuff.
But you don't listen to rap?
I do. My son raps. His name is Tut Tarantino.
Wait, what?
My son, right?
What's his name?
He raps under Tut Tarantino. His real name is Elijah Irvin.
Okay.
But listen, get this out. I swear, if you go on iTunes and listen to him, he raps about some of the hardest stuff in the world. And I say to him, son, you grew up in a 20,000 square foot gated community home. How can you rap this stuff? Where does this stuff come from? You know what I mean?
Your son is using your childhood to rap about.
Oh, my God, right. I worked hard to get you out of this, and you rapping right back to it. What is going on? It blows my mind, man. I'm telling you, if you listen, you'll be like,
you can't rap about a private education.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I'm sorry.
Private schools, his whole life. His whole life.
You grew up in a family of 17 kids in 2 bedrooms.
Right. And he rapping about my days. Right. That's what trips me out. And the guy just tells me, Michael, this is how young kids express themselves. You just got to let them go through this and everything. I'm like, well is this any reflection on my parenting?
But what's mom think about this?
Well, for a long time, he wouldn't let mom hear his music. You know, she don't want to hear dad. Don't let her hear it. And I couldn't hear it for a while. And then I finally heard it because he started getting out on iTunes. He had a couple albums out. Then I was like, oh, man. I'm like, man, I mean, you sat next to me every Sunday in church. Did any of that get to you? Did you hear any of that? It's just funny stuff, man, when you hear it. Now, I like rap. I like rap. Just
When
not that all.
You may not be aware of this, but we had hundreds of people audition to be a Danette. And ultimately, it came down to 5 candidates for 4 positions.
From the south side of Chicago, went to Marian Catholic High School, which I was a C student at for 4 years.
Have a background in sports broadcasting.
I went to Dartmouth College. I don't know if you have a lot of Ivy League applicants.
I don't bring a lot of sports knowledge to the table.
I drink a lot of beer.
I think I could do a pretty solid Mick Burgess Meredith impersonation from Rocky. You can't win!
Joe Pesci is, are you laughing at me? Am I funny? Do I amuse you like I'm a clown? Like, ha-ha funny? That one always goes really well at parties.
What light through yonder window breaks?
We're no strangers to love.
I'm so unathletic that I'm going to make Dan seem more athletic.
I got this other one I'm working on. It's like this science guy. He talks really fast. He talks about a lot of smart things, but he's really bad at telling jokes. And so like at the end of every joke, he'll say like, that's a zinger. You know, like it's not funny, but he says, that's a zinger. That's something wrong with that statement. I don't know. It's just not, I haven't got it together yet, but that's kind of my weakest character right now.
Can't help but wonder whatever happened to that other candidate.
Blazers, Suns, Grizzlies, Spurs still in the playoff mix. Greek Freak suspended for 1 game. The NFL's corona test rate is under 1% positive. So just some of the headlines there. I saw a stat here with what's going on. The most intriguing part of the NBA bubble, down the stretch, the battle for the last spot in the Western Conference. So Portland has won 2 in a row. They've got Brooklyn tonight. Memphis is a half game back. They've lost 2 in a row. They've got Milwaukee this afternoon without the Greek Freak. Phoenix has won 7 in a row. They're a half game back. They have Dallas this afternoon. And then tonight, it'll be San Antonio. They're a half game back. They've got Utah. So that's what is going to happen for the 8th, 9th spot. And then the Lakers will have the fewest amount of days to prepare for who they're going to play in the opening round. But, you know, the advanced scouting, they're able to watch if they're going to play the Blazers or whoever it might be. I just don't know if the Blazers, Phoenix Suns, it feels like there hasn't been as much of a frenetic pace because they were a long shot to get in. Portland, it feels like, oh, they're the team that could really give the Lakers trouble. But every night has been a playoff game for them. And I don't know how long you can continue to have that kind of energy. Like, what do you expect out of Damian Lillard? I remember, you know, we were talking about this. What does he do after 51? He's going to put up 61. I don't know what else he can do to get his team. And C.J. McCollum, too, with a bad back and his availability. And I still look at Dallas, where nobody's talking about Dallas. Is Dallas a tough out against the Clippers? Because everybody's been focusing on, well, the Blaze. Well, it's the Lakers. That's why. You know, if Dallas was going to be playing the Lakers, then we'd be like, oh, that's a tough out for the Lakers. It's how do we get the Lakers into a story here? That's how you do it. All right, some more phone calls in here. Phil in Indiana. Hi, Phil. What do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan, always a pleasure. It seems to me with college football being a multi-billion-dollar industry, this thing really should just become a corporation, have a CEO with a corporate structure, 5 conferences doing their own thing. It just seems like it's out of whack. And let's face it, it is a corporation and it's a money-making business. And then the last thing I had for you, Dan, 2 names I wanted to list for you on your Emmy struggles: Susan Lucci, Ted Danson. After they won their first, they won multiple, so there's still hope for you, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, I had a couple of people calling me Dan Lucci after we lost. Susan Lucci was a soap opera star. She lost like 19 in a row.
Yeah, I think she was 0 for 18.
Yeah. I didn't know about Ted Danson. Yes, Eden.
I guess so far we're 0 for 12 then, even though we've only been nominated 3 times.
But I think she was nominated and didn't win.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been nominated probably, myself and SportsCenter, maybe 12 to 15 times. But I think I have 4. You know, back in the day on SportsCenter, if SportsCenter won the Sports Emmy, the anchors didn't get an Emmy. The coordinating producers did. You could be there for one day. You could have started the day before the Sports Emmys, come in as a coordinating producer, and they would have given you an office and an Emmy. Because I waited 10 years to get an office there. 10 years. And even Berman and Bob Lee had been there for 20 years. And I remember they called us in, all the anchors, and they said, we're going to give Bob and Chris offices. And I said, okay, why don't you name buildings after them? And they go, well, you're not upset? I go, I'm upset that it took this long for these guys to get offices. Bob Lee and Chris Berman, they name a building after those guys. They're the founding fathers. They should do a Mount Rushmore and just do those 3. Tom Mees, Bob Lee, and Chris Berman. Just put it up, there at ESPN. Yeah, Paul.
It would be called the exercise room. The big long E on the front of the building.
Mount Rushmore.
So wait, if you SportsCenter won an Emmy, would you have to purchase one to own it and bring it home?
I don't.
Or would someone buy it for you?
No, I don't even know if we could buy them back then.
I think because that's the rule. We won an award in radio department, and of course the management guy got it. The person in management took the actual award instead of the on-air people or the production staff. It was like 2002, and they said, "Yeah, you can get one." I'm like, "Oh, great!" And like, do I have to fill out paperwork? Like, no. Here's the thing. It's like $127.
We were told the anchors were looking to, we figured after you've been there, I'd been there, 15 years, and I thought, maybe it's time that I get an office here. And I was told by management, it's a fire hazard. Like if I don't know what they said or how they said it, but it had something to do with the fire marshal. So I couldn't get an office. And it's hard to argue that. Because I'm going, I don't know how do I argue a fire marshal that somehow we can't add more offices here? But you know what? It made me a better man. It did. Somehow, some way. Not bitter man, a better man. Maybe a bitter man. Steve in South Carolina joins us on the program. Hi, Steve.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Great.
Third time, long time. Hey, earlier you were talking about the awards within the bubble idea.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this will give Paulie something to do. We need one of those Whose Stats Do You Want from the bubble edition, mostly because I just need to hear some Whose Stats Do You Want music.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the phone call there, Steve. We don't even need to have stats where we can just put up the Whose Stats Would You?
Whose stats? Whose stats would you want? Tell me, whose stats would you want?
Right. Who is that guy and where is he?
I don't know.
Man, I want to meet that genius.
I just want to see people when they're recording this. I think there was a guy who recorded one when he was in his car. I don't know if it was that or it was a Traeger, Meat Friday song.
Well, that one you can hear something in the background.
Yeah.
So like there's clearly a woman talking. So he's either like in his kitchen or there's a TV on or something.
Todd sent me this, and he goes, I know that we don't do this. We don't get into the habit of doing this, but would you do this to wish a guy in Melbourne, Australia, a happy birthday?
Someone is he's actually, now it's Melbourne, Arkansas. He corrected. I thought, and you would think it would be Melbourne, Australia, but there's actually a Melbourne, Arkansas. and he's a huge fan of the show. He sent me multiple Facebook messages, and I thought I should do my due diligence and at least make you aware of it. So you're the bad guy if you don't give him a shout out.
I know, but we were talking about other things, and then you send me and you say, must open, and then I open it, and then it's
I do the left turn thing every once in a while.
Justin Montgomery in Melbourne. It's not even Australia.
It's not. It's Arkansas. You would think it would be extra special if it was much further away.
Yeah. All
But
right.
he's been watching since the Attic days.
Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday, Justin, in Melbourne, Arkansas.
So you're making dreams come true, and it's got
Thank
to make
you.
you feel good.
I don't know what Penny's doing right now back there with the big German, hearing those dog noises.
Dogs barking happy birthday is about as good as it gets.
It is. That's great.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, I'm gonna put that on a loop. I'm just gonna I'm gonna make an app, and then I just press that.
It is a special pleasure for me to introduce our two home run kings for working families in America, Mike McGuire and Sammy Sousser of the White House.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay, so you got Mike McGuire, like Sammy Sousser. Okay,
Yeah, pronunciation issues we all have, but Mark is not Mike.
Yeah.
Mike McGuire is not a great home run hitter.
Mike McGuire and Sammy Sousser.
Does Mark McGuire have a brother named Mike McGuire? And does he have power? That's what I want to know. Mike McGuire, and he says it. Now is that?
I think it's Ted Kennedy. Isn't
Ted
it?
Kennedy.
Yeah.
But then the Boston mayor.
Oh yeah,
He's famous.
Menino, Thomas Menino.
Didn't he call Rob Gronkowski gonk?
Tom Brady here. We have Tom Brady here. We have Tom Brady here. And Stephen Ridley. I mean, another great guy. Wilcock? Will Fork, I'm sorry. Wilcock, yeah. Will Fork, Hernandez is going to do a great job. He sets in for Gonk because Gonk's hurt.
Gonk. Did he call him Wilcock?
Wilcock. And then the other one goes, Wilfork.
Imagine being his press secretary. You're just stressed out all the time. Jesus, so what are we going to do?
You got to be walking with him constantly when he starts to say something.
Can we honor someone named Smith or Johnson today?
And he's Hernandez. He'll be great filling in for Gonk. It's Gronk. It's Gronk.
Gonk's hurt.
Wilcock.
We have an amazing set of remarkable athletes whose action in a moment have become ionic in sports. Havlicek stole the ball. Fisk waving the ball fair. Flutie launching the Hail Mary pass. Veritek splitting the uprights.
Veritek, I think I missed that.
Veritek splitting the uprights.
So instead of Vinatieri, he called him Jason Veritek. Veritek splits the uprights.
Euclid.
Ionic moment.
I know. Ionic pentameter. Oh, boy.
I got some more if you want.
Yeah, sure.
We could get off of the good Boston mayor, though.
There we go.
But you have said that the only two injected substances you had that you, and was it Mr. McNamee that injected those two substances?
That's correct.
It's McNamara. What did he call him? McNaming?
Mr.
McNaming. Yeah. Oh, my God. And then he had Mr. Palmieri for
Let
Rocket.
me ask you about Mr. Palmieri. Was he...
That's Chris Shays, Mr. Palmieri.
Let me ask you about Mr. Palmieri. Was he found to have taken drugs before he hit his 300th hit?
God.
I'm sorry, before what?
He had his 3,000th hit. Mr. Palmieri. Is this the case you're familiar with?
Did anybody do any prep? That's what I want to know.
Mr. Palmieri.
Senator, have you read the brief packet? No. It's baseball.
Yeah.
Crush us.
Mr. McNamee.
McNamee. Yeah. Jesse in Los Angeles. Hi, Jess. What do you have for me today?
Hey, good day, Mr. Dan. Great interview with Coach Kelly earlier.
Thank you, Jess. It's a good accent, by the way.
I'm just stretching my legs here. As a UCLA alum, if there's any authenticity to what that guy said, I'm proud to have that guy as our coach. But a serious question for the I team.
Okay.
I'm wondering if they'll be tracking the amount of NBA player-related bursts in about 9 months from now, after all the LA work that's about to be let into the bubble.
Oh, LA work, man. Thank you, Jesse. I did not know what LA work meant. And Marvin the Prince came out of the back room and he goes, LA work is when you're importing women. Guests to the bubble. Right? There you are, Marv. I like how the big German takes the camera and gets Marvin there.
I was like, who, me?
Yeah. LA work, Marv.
Yeah.
LA work, baby.
But then Marvin said he went home. His wife was like, how do you know what that means?
LA work. What's that mean? Oh, man. Jeff in Detroit. What up, Doe?
I say there, Daniel. How's
No.
your day going? What up, dog? Hey, what's happening? Listen, I have a technical question. I'm sure you probably don't know the answer to it right now. But us going to Peacock, you know your fans are going to follow you wherever you go. Will they have some type of chat row situation going on where we can, chit-chat? Everybody still wants to rag on Mario and, talk about the show in general on that particular platform. So I don't know if they do or don't. And I have a sandwich suggestion for you.
Okay.
You talking about food, of course. I love a nice, simple turkey sandwich, but what you do is you get you some maple bacon or like a hickory smoked bacon, and then you get like a nice piece of bread, butter it on both sides, and then what you do is you get you some smoked Gouda. Oh, my God. Smoked Gouda and make like a grilled cheese turkey sandwich, bacon in the middle, slide some lettuce. Oh, my goodness. You know what? You have a good day.
Thank you,
sir.
Jeff.
I'm off the line.
Thank you, Jeff. We're working on that with Chat Row. We're trying to figure out if we can do something with Peacock, but this is new territory for us and a new partner, but we're trying to figure something out where we can have Chat Row. You're very important to the show, integral part of the show. And if we didn't have Chat Row, then I'd have to fire Tyler, and I don't want to do that.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he's Tyler the moderator. If you're not moderating anything, then what's he going to be doing? I got the highest paid tight ends per season. George Kittle at 15. Hunter Henry, 10.6. That's franchise tag. Austin Hooper, 10.5. Travis Kelce at 9.3. You can bet Travis Kelce is probably celebrating today after seeing what George Kittle got paid. Rob Gronkowski's at 9. Kyle Rudolph at $9 million. Salaries haven't caught up to the production of that position. Is there another position that is near that, McLovin? If I look at what we ask you to do and your importance to an offense and what you get paid.
Safety, maybe? You could argue, like Jamal, they're really low on the list. And running back, those are two of the lowest.
Well, running back, yes. We've said for a long period of time about, you use them up. 5-year window, use them up, and then you move on. I don't think people are in the market for paying a lot of money for a safety. Seattle did, but...
Well, and the Steelers traded for Minka Fitzpatrick last year, so some people, the safety is like the tight end a little bit, though, right? Where it's a misunderstood position.
Well, it depends on what's your offensive game plan, what's your defensive game plan? Like, what do you ask your safety to do? Seattle's going to be asking him to creep up and stop the run and blitz and probably cover George Kittle. That's why they brought him in. Yeah, McLovin.
Paulie gave up Hunter Henry $10 million when that. Yeah, he hasn't really played much, has he?
We got injured.
Yeah,
but
he's got hurt a couple times.
Yeah, he's good, but that's one of those. He's good when he's healthy. Well, I need you healthy. Travis Kelce at 9.3.
He'll probably his agent will call the team today. Hey, did you see that Kittle contract?
But how many years does he have left on his deal? I mean, I'm surprised he's at 9.3. If Austin Hooper got 10.5, Hunter Henry on the franchise tag.
Zach Ertz will probably redo his contract or get a new contract soon, I saw.
Yeah, but these are all pass-catching tight ends, valuable weapons for your teams. But Kittle, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. All right, let me take a break here. Last call for phone calls, what we learned, what's in store tomorrow. I want to play a clip from Ryan Day, the Ohio State head coach, talking about the options of playing elsewhere, and also Dak Prescott talking about his contract. I want to get to those coming up next here on the Dan Patrick Show.
All right, Paul, the barbecue joint's out open till noon. I know you get restless, but I got something great for us to do.
Go ahead.
College Football Hall of Fame.
This is cool because I haven't been to this one. When I was 10, I went to the one in Ohio, which was very cool, but I heard this is...
Oh, this is bigger, it's better. I'm going to go in and look for the Ivy League wing.
Of course.
And you can look for, like, the directional state school wing.
Yeah, but I went to that directional state school for 6 years. I'm more educated than you are, buddy.
All right, let's go.
One of the cool things here is if you're here and you have a team, you can go to the front desk and they'll light up your helmet. Like if I had any pull here, I could have them light up Southern Illinois.
Yeah, and for me, being a lifelong Clemson fan, I could have them light up the Clemson helmet.
Come this way, you got all the trophies. Doak Walker, the Outland, Dodd Trophy, Maxwell Trophy, National Title Trophies, Orange Bowl. I could stand here all day if this was my job. This is really cool. They got a lot for the fans to play with. You can throw, you can catch, you can kick. It's really nice.
Yeah, and they're going to have the treat of watching us put on an athletic display right now. Oh, it's slipped out of my hand.
You know, I've never tried this before. Ooh. He's got bad hands. Bad hands?
That's right, Reese. I'm Paul Papps. You know me. It's great to be here. I'm ready for this unbelievable matchup at Perkins Stadium. Slippery Rock at Wisconsin Whitewater Perloff on a perfect day for football. It doesn't get better than this, does it, Des?
Des, I can't go against our favorite team. I'm picking Wisconsin Whitewater to be victorious.
This is really cool because you could find all the players from the past. Dat Nguyen, awesome linebacker at A&M, made a ton of tackles, fast as hell. Remember him?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good for a college player, but listen, 6 feet, I don't know about that.
He was a hell of a...
Do you want to say I'm an inside linebacker to my face?
No, sir, Mr. Nguyen. I'm sorry. I didn't know there was that kind of interactive exhibit. I gotta go. Sorry.
All right, congratulations to Chris in Iowa. Figured out today's scoreboard for Thursday, August 13th. The clue for number 20 is this swinger will steal your heart. So it's this swinger will steal your heart, and it's on this date in 1979, Lou Brock, uniform number 20, gets hit number 3,000, so this swinger will steal your heart, because Lou Brock's also known, obviously, for all the stolen bases. So Lou Brock is 20. For number 24, the clue is he's shipped to the Halos. Speaking of steals, playing off of Lou Brock, he's shipped to the Halos, Halos being the Angels. I'm talking, of course, number 24, Ricky Henderson, because on this date in 1997, Ricky Henderson, who wore uniform 24, traded from the San Diego Padres to the Angels. So Lou Brock, number 20, Ricky Henderson, number 24, Chris, Iowa. Congrats.
I don't think you did this at the Combine. Now, now that is from the Mardi Gras float that we had in New Orleans at the Super Bowl. So that's my head over there. I need you to dent my nose.
All right.
And this is going to be about from 20 yards away.
Okay.
Are you capable of doing that?
I can do that.
Now, what if you miss? Your stock could go down. You may drop out of the first round if you miss this.
It'll be fine. Then I pull a Derek Carr.
Oh, I like second round. I like that. Well done. See? Are you loose? Now, we were thinking of having a defender rush towards you just to see, to make you feel at home without Paulie can be the defender. All right, so right on the tip of my nose.
All right.
All right, you ready? We'll do it on one because I like to get it going.
All right, cool.
Okay. Sit it. See?
Like eyebrow.
That dented my forehead.
All right, we get one more.
This is right here for the national title and a chance to be drafted by the Jets.
Got it.
How about a moving one?
That was now. Paulie wants to move. Let me see if you can hit a moving target, Deshaun.
Is this the ball right here?
All right, here we go.
Oh, man.
What could go wrong here?
You ready?
Okay. Good luck, all right? Good luck. Great to see you. Thanks for being a good sport. Thank you, guys.
That was very fun.
This is what we actually do.
Falcons running back Todd Gurley on the program tomorrow. Arizona State head coach Herm Edwards will also join us as well. Last call for phone calls, what we learn, what's in store tomorrow. Wanted to bring a couple of clips to your attention. Dak Prescott had a press conference yesterday, and he touched on a lot of things. He lost his brother recently. He's gone through a few things, certainly the contract situation, but he really came off well, polished. He came off as mature because he said, look, everything that we're going through right now, I got to just take it day by day, He said all of the right things that you would want to hear for somebody who could be bitter in this situation. And Dak Prescott, this is what he had to say about his contract.
I'm excited as hell to be a Dallas Cowboy. I've been a fan of this organization and been a fan of this program for years. I love every bit of the opportunity and the platform that I get to be the quarterback here. No frustration as far as that. Once again, I believe something will get done. And with my hopes, I believe I'll be a Dallas Cowboy for the rest of my career. So
that's great. I love what he was saying yesterday. Jerry Jones says they're going to have fans in the stands for Cowboy games. And I don't know how many you're going to have. I don't know how you choose any of these places, any of these venues. If I say you can have 20,000 fans at an Alabama game, who chooses the 20,000 fans? If it's an NFL game, it's the Cowboys, and you can have 25,000 in Jerry World. How many? Who do you go with? Donors? If it's Alabama, do you start with boosters, season ticket? How long you've held a season ticket? I don't know. Lottery? Like that? You could ruffle some feathers there because there are going to be people who want to go see that game. Yeah. Ryan Day's Ohio State's head football coach, and he talked about Ohio State exploring options to play.
Gene and I talked again this morning at length about this, and we're still exploring all those options. I know yesterday, you guys kind of grabbed them walking out of the facility and maybe at a bad time, but no, I mean, this thing's moving, it's changing, and we are looking at everything.
All right, so that's Ohio State's head coach. I don't think anybody's playing outside of the Big Ten or Pac-12. I don't think that's happening. Because as I was told by my source, the source who's the one who told me that, Big Ten and Pac-12 are going to not play football this season, he said that, this is not canceled, it's postponed. That's the difference. It's postponed, so it's not like you can say, hey, here's the loophole. You weren't canceled. You were postponed till the spring, and that's why Nebraska's not playing anybody. Ohio State's not going to be playing anybody either. Yeah, Paul.
The one thing over this I don't understand, and Chip Kelly talked about it, at some point they're going to get directives from the NCAA that they can practice during the fall because they're not going to let these college football players spend 5 months inactive.
Yeah.
So it's safe and healthy to have practices with 115 kids who are going to school, but then that game on the weekend for 3 hours is unsafe. I don't know if that balances out because when you go to that Saturday football game, you're walking in the building, in theory, with 200 players who have all been tested during the week and are cleared to walk in that building.
I don't think you're going to have these programs and the Pac-12 and Big Ten actually having practices.
Traditional practice.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, because a lot of the states that, these schools are in, it's state by state. And, that's the difference, I think, with the SEC and the ACC and also the Big 12. And Chip Kelly alluded to that. Being in Los Angeles, there's certain states, hot spots, and trying to be able to do this. They haven't even had practice yet. He doesn't even know what he's able to do and not able to do. And he's the head coach. This day in sports history, Paulie, what do you have for me?
25 years ago today, Sports Center with you and Keith Olbermann was the 11 o'clock Sports Center when the great Mickey Mantle passed away. And Keith actually posted the entire episode, and it was different than the others in a lot of ways. I thought you could pick it up from there.
Yeah, what we did that day when Mickey Mantle died, and Keith and I got together, and we had our, coordinating producer, and we said this is different than just doing what SportsCenter would normally do, or back then, you would do the announcement that Mickey Mantle had passed away, and then you would have maybe a package that talked about maybe 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes on the greatness of Mickey Mantle. And it was different back then. You would do that and you'd say, and we'll have more later. And then later in SportsCenter, the hour-long SportsCenter, you'd bring back a feature that maybe Bob Lee wrote or, somebody did and look back and pay tribute to Mickey Mantle. And Keith and I went to management and said, we think the first 15 minutes of the show should be about Mickey Mantle. He was that big of an icon. A whole generation, my father's generation, looked at Mickey Mantle as Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Stan Musial, like that whole era. And I just said, this is different. And Keith really fought hard because he was a Yankee fan and Mickey Mantle fan. And we changed SportsCenter that night because we just said there are stories that are big enough that the first 10 to 15 minutes before you go to commercial break should be on that person and the impact that they had. And then you hear from other people, other players who played with him, against him, and you really pay tribute to somebody. And that's what we did that night. It's one of the proudest SportsCenter's moments I ever had doing SportsCenter because I thought we really did justice to the story. And we'll post it on social media. But it was a great night, really was. I'm glad that we fought for it, and I'm glad that we had people listening in management who said, yeah, we understand it. Anything else this day in sports history?
That's it. I want to let you do that one.
All right. Final results of the poll question.
Should they give out the Heisman? 64% say no. Surprise.
I think they will. But the Heisman Trust is going to vote on this, I think, in the next week or so. There's no reason to announce they're going to give out a Heisman until they know that there's going to be a season. Because if you say all of a sudden the Big 12 is not going to play, now it's the ACC and the SEC, are you still going to hand out a Heisman? Are we still going to hand out a national championship trophy? I have no idea, because how many times did we say something in April or May or June or July, and then all of a sudden you got to walk it back? That's where I am right now. As much as I'd love to go, this is my opinion, it could change and probably would change. Let's go around the room and what we learned on this program. Todd, I'll start with you. What did you learn today?
You're not going to complain if the NBA wants to give out bubble awards. Good for them.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just thankful there's sports. You want to hand out, participation trophies? Go ahead. I'm okay. McLevin?
There's a Melbourne, Arkansas, as well as a Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah. Seton O'Connor?
Reggie Miller also busted up about the third straight Emmy loss.
Yeah. Well, he was going to get an Emmy.
Yeah.
People think I'm joking. I would have given Reggie a sports Emmy. He's the 5th Dan Ed. Paulie, what'd you learn today?
I probably can't pronounce Giannis's last name, but I wouldn't be this bad.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. Start online, network of independent attorneys. They provide advice when you need it the most. Since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. Thanks for joining us. Pleasure to serve you. We'll do it again tomorrow. A Meat Friday tomorrow. Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, McLevin, yours truly. Thanks for joining us here. Dan Patrick Show.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.